There's a video going viral that shows Kamala Harris sitting with Oprah, and there's a teleprompter. And many people are accusing or of using this teleprompter, but I'm not so sure that's correct. We'll break this down. However, there is video proof, because I did fact check this when I pulled it up. The Oprah event had fake supporters in the Zoom bracket, whatever they were doing. They were fake people. I mean, they doubled up. This one's pretty interesting. This is Oprah running fake supporters of Kamala to make it look like there are more people. And they probably thought they could get away with it. At least they probably did on TV, considering anybody who's blindly following Kamala Harris probably isn't paying attention. So we're talking about that. We got a bunch of news today, of course. There's a big story in the lead singer of Paramore at the iHeartRadio Festival, slamming Donald Trump and just blasting a bunch of lies about Project 2025. And a lot of people are disappointed because Paramore, the lead singer, Haley Williams, is supposedly, or at least was, an avowed Christian and had mostly stayed out of politics until the past several years. But I think there's a pretty good reason why we're starting to see many singers and bands jump on the anti-Trump bandwagon, especially with Taylor Swift. And I think it has something to do with, this is going to piss off a lot of fans of Paramore, but declining sales and notability. And so, like many individuals, not just Paramore, when they start seeing that decline in relevance, notability, they're getting older, what do? They go political, baby. Now, what I can say is I've always been a political guy. I've always worked in activism. I've always worked in I've always done campaign work. So I've always been sitting here talking politics. These people who are no longer relevant know that the older generation and people who get older like politics more because it's affecting them, their lives and their children's lives, and they're wondering why they can't pay their bills. So, of course, making pop music that isn't in line with the younger generation is not going to sell so well. And the people that are probably still listening to you are now in their 30s, like Haley is, and they care more about politics than they do about music. And there you go. I mean, Taylor Swift is like 35 as well. And she largely reaches 30-year-old women. A lot of people think her fans are young girls. They're not. It's like 18 to 35. People age with the artists. If you listen to what music is popular among Gen Z and even younger, it certainly ain't this. I mean, a little bit. Don't get me wrong. But of course, we'll get into a bunch of those stories. And before we do, I have a special message from Nancy Pelosi.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Thank you. Pelosi wishes you a good Sunday morning Twitter account. For those that don't know why I did that, there was this period a couple of years ago where Nancy Pelosi, I believe, suffered some kind of stroke on live television. And when talking, abruptly just freezes and goes, "Good morning. Sunday morning." And everyone's like, whoa, did she just have an aneurysm or something? Like, that was weird. Well, thanks to Pelosi wishes you a good Sunday morning. Every Sunday morning, there is a gigantic Teletubbies head with Nancy Pelosi's face in it saying, "Good morning, Sunday morning." So I hope you all have a good morning, a good Sunday morning. Smash that like button, my friends, and share this live stream. If you're watching live, share the show with all your friends. Tell them it's the best show. Everybody agrees, at least that's what I've been told. And you can say bye, Tim. Before we get into all the news and talk about all the fun stuff, make sure you check out Coming Home. Go to Timcast Music on YouTube, subscribe. We got a new song coming out, my friends, and I'm really excited. It's an honor and a privilege to have worked with Phil Labonte, lead singer of All That Remains, friend of the show, and co-host of Timcast IRL. And he provided guest vocals in about a third of the song at the end when it gets real exciting.
On a quiet, faded pavement, I drove myself to find the place.
So this song's going to be out Friday, and if you like our music, if you like the song, it is about coming home to find that the city you once loved has been completely overrun, destroyed, failed policies, failed economic plans, homeless, gangs, crime. It's about saying we're not going to take it anymore. It's time to stop this and shut it down. That song will be out on Friday. You can go to getcominghome.com. We made a better URL. And a lot of people are wondering, well, hold on, it doesn't work. It just brings you to this. No, you have to have iTunes. If you have iTunes installed, you go to Get Coming Home, you buy the song, And we're going to talk a lot about the music industry because this Paramore thing's pretty big news. But let's get started with this big story here. We've got this. First, let's talk about the teleprompter thing, because we're going to debunk this. Debunk. Stop making me defend Kamala Harris, Nick. You're making me defend Kamala Harris, and I don't want to have to do it. All right. Nick Sorter says, wow, apparently Kamala Harris had a freaking teleprompter during her interview with Oprah. Kamala Harris is a fraud. In fact, she may have, but this does not prove it. In this video, you can clearly see there is a teleprompter. She has been accused. There's 2.5 million views in this, plus derivative views. And you can see what the words are on the prompter. You can see the Zoom individuals in the back who probably are real people. And there's Kamala shaking hands. And you can see what it says. We desire and deserve to live in. To find out more, and it says something that's kind of unintelligible, about how, to find out more about how you, that's what it says. And then the video ends. Now, we'll jump into the fake followers thing, but Sarah Higdon says, to play devil's advocate, the teleprompter could just be Oprah's for intro and has the questions for her to ask. It doesn't necessarily mean it had Kamala's answers or that she could even see one in the video. Nick Sorter says the first several lines of the teleprompter were part of Kamala's final statement. She was reading off a teleprompter. No, she wasn't. I checked the transcript, dude. I'm trying to fact check and verify this. It is not correct. Sarah Higdon says, but goes on to say, but that was her final statement, which is more like a speech, and she had that part pre-planned. It's not indicative of the whole interview. To which Cernovich responds, quote, to play devil's advocate, then when proven wrong, you change to a totally different line of argument, low IQ and dishonest. You know what? I've had enough. Children. I'm a big fan of Mike Cernovich. Sarah Higdon's a friend of the show as well. Big fan. But guys, you needed only do a Google search to realize this is all wrong. And then I pulled up the video and I watched it. This is not part of Kamala Harris' closing speech. It's literally Oprah Winfrey's closing message. Kamala Harris does not say these things. And you can see right here where it says to find out more about how you, that's what it was going to say. And then it goes on to say, can register or where you can go to vote. Go to I will vote, blah, blah, blah. Thank you and good night. She didn't speak verbatim off the prompter, which is fairly normal. She says, we hope you keep fighting for us and the country we deserve to have. Whereas a teleprompter says, desire and deserve to live in. Kamala Harris doesn't say any of that stuff. She didn't. So if you actually pull up the video, and you can, and you watch the closing statement, it is not correct. This is not Kamala Harris reading off the prompter. Now, she may have had her own prompter, I suppose, but if you look at the transcript of what Kamala was saying, it doesn't seem like it's all very well scripted. It seemed actually fairly bad. The woman is not particularly good at going off the cuff. I could deliver a way better message at the top of my head without using a teleprompter, but Kamala still likely did not use it. And I think the dejected, ridiculous nature of her closing statement probably proves there was no teleprompter. So please, for the love of all that is holy, stop making me defend Kamala Harris. She's an awful person who kept people in prison when they were supposed to be released so she could use them as slave labor. And in one instance, it's been reported there's a man on death row who is likely innocent and she kept him there even though she had exculpatory evidence. So the last thing I want to do is come out and be like, Kamala Harris didn't do this. I'd love to just come out and say, Kamala Harris used a prompter. She's a witch. She's evil. But come on, this is a weak line of attack. It makes it very easy to debunk these things. And you're going to get Democrats and liberals coming out and being like, look, the right is lying about this. But you know what? By all means, you want to play that game? You want to play with fire like the Democrats do? I got bad news for you, right? The right isn't stupid enough to fall for it. And that's the dang old problem. These people who show up to the Oprah Winfrey event don't pay attention to the news. They don't read. And that's why we have this story with Haley Williams of Paramore coming out and reading a script. This is the crazy part. She's reading a piece of paper in front of her, telling her what to say, because she didn't even know what's going on in this country. In fact, Paramore wrote a song saying the news, like basically saying the news is bad. And she's like, turn on, turn off the news. It makes her depressed. This is the message they've been trying to send to everybody. Don't pay attention to what's going on. Sit there and smile as we lie to you. So here's the problem you've got. They're going to use any and everything to try and make you look like a liar and a bad guy. And if you play these stupid games and you put out information that is incorrect, they're going to line it up, they're going to load it up, and they say, boom, we got you, you lied. Then when they lie and you say, haha, we got you, you lied, they go, doesn't matter to us. Our voters don't watch the news, and they certainly aren't going to be watching you. Now, that being said, my friends, let me show you where it gets pretty funny. So actually, Nick Sorter did nail one thing. And this I did fact check. He says apparently it goes even further. Kamala had to fake her Zoom support too. Yeah, this one's true. Holy crap. So I pulled this up. This is the Kamala Harris YouTube channel. Unite for America rally with Vice President Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey. And what do you notice? Here, look at this lady right here, right? She's leaning off to the side of her camera. She got a couch and a white background. She's there twice. Whoa, busted. This is true. Oprah, now I don't know to what degree Kamala was involved, but they put fake Kamala supporters. Now what I mean to say is these are double ups. In fact, I got to be honest. How do we even know any of these people are real and not AI? Seriously, that's the scary thought. You take a look at some of these people in the back. You can't see their faces. And they made them really small for some reason. They want to make it look like theater stands. You know what I mean? The people up front are bigger. And as you go up top, it gets smaller and smaller. I presume to make the illusion of some kind of theater row. Or it makes it very easy for them to use a looped AI individual with nondescript features. I got to be honest. I look at some of these in the front. They look like people, right? It would make sense. Wouldn't be hard to get some people to come on a Zoom call. Here's the problem. How do you make sure they stay on for an hour and a half? What if some people are like, I don't want to sit here anymore with the camera on my face? I mean, you got to go to the bathroom, right? I don't believe any of them are real, but that's just my opinion. They may be. They might be. But that guy's hand looks really weird. Could just be that it looks weird, I guess. Some of these images in the back, I don't know. I would not be surprised if they used AI video to generate this, but who am I to say? That's just my opinion. Now, look, my friends, you can pull up the full transcript and read it all yourself. That's very clearly Kamala Harris's. I keep pulling this Nancy Pelosi thing. Let's get rid of that. It's very clearly not Kamala Harris using the teleprompter. Okay. And you've got this political trend right now, Kamala Harris and teleprompter. And now you've got the Kamala Harris gun ownership dispute. And I'm like, holy crap, dudes. Why? Why are you making me defend Kamala Harris? Here we go. This is what they do. Kamala Harris is a bad person. She's not good for president. She's a bad choice. I think, if I was going to vote for somebody, probably be more like a libertarian. I think Dave Smith running would have been a fantastic choice, or Vivek Ramaswamy. Dave Smith's got those good libertarian sensibilities I like so much, but he also has conservative social values overlapping with conservatives. And he's a funny guy. He's a very funny guy. And he's tall and quick-witted. So I think he has the capabilities. Unfortunately, we don't get a Dave Smith, and he probably would never win. So what do we have before us? We get Donald Trump. I'll take it, okay? Trump's a funny guy, too. A little brash, a little crude, a little crass. But no new wars. What else you voting for, I guess? Better economic policy? Okay, I can agree with that. But here we go, my friends. What is this? Libs of TikTok. I can't stand this. Look, guys, all I want to do is know what's real and what's not. Okay? I want to know what's true. I want to know what's false. And I want to talk to you guys about what's true and what's false. That's it. Thank you and have a nice day. But you put out fake news, I'm going to call it out. Okay? Misinformation, disinformation, false information, whatever you want to call it. Just plain being wrong. Libs of TikTok says, a Kamala staffer just went on CNN and said Kamala doesn't own a firearm. Kamala repeatedly lied about owning a gun. Make no mistake, Kamala will come for your guns. She lied about having one, so you would believe her when she lied about not taking them away. Okay, the Kamala staffer never said this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off to the side and play the audio for you. And I'd like for you to just listen to this audio clip. Here we go.
She said at one point, well, if somebody tries to break into my home, they're going to get shot. She made that comment, and then she said, well, my staff will go ahead and clean that up. You were on Kamala Harris's staff. Can you give us some more information? I'm just curious from a biographical background, what do we know about this firearm that she owns, and when did she get it?
Yeah, well, look, she has made it very clear that she staunchly supports the Second Amendment. She supports strong, responsible gun ownership, and she does own a firearm. So I can't really comment more than that.
She said,
that's it. I don't understand. On CNN, you've got, what's his face? I forget his name. Saying Kamala says she owns a gun. The staffer says she's for responsible gun ownership. She does own a gun, and that's it. I can't say more about it. And what happened was someone took the video and put a fake transcript that says doesn't, which she never said doesn't, and then changed it. Now, I got to be honest. I don't understand why anybody would fall for this. Why you would believe it to be true. Now, and look, as a question for you, Libs of TikTok, They're literally saying, Kamala Harris said she owns a gun. Tell me more. And the staffer says, yeah, Kamala Harris is for responsible gun ownership. She does own a gun, blah, blah, blah. Why put this out? It's even, look at this. They say it was due to an error in the captions. I don't even know if it was an error. CNN transcript, video with erroneous auto caption. Kamala Harris's gun is documented as a pistol that could fit in a small purse and is stored in L.A. It is not unreasonable, my friends, for Democrats to have weapons and deny you weapons. Kamala Harris, as they call her Cop Kamala or Kamala Cop or Coppola or whatever, she's going to have a gun. Now, the funny thing is, there's reports that she's walking back. Let me see if I can find this one. Staff say Kamala joking because they're getting some backlash. Look at this, man. This is funny. Now, here's what you should be sharing. Okay. The Telegraph. Kamala Harris was joking about shooting an intruder, insist aides in the latest U-turn. Harris campaign advises the comment was designed to humanize the vice president to voters. Ah, yes, humanize. Because it's so human to want to shoot intruders into your home. I mean, right. It is. Now they're walking it back. You know, Mike Cernovich made a great point. He said, people, you know, Democrats who are winning don't go on TV and say they're going to shoot intruders. That's a Republican talking point. But she's losing with moderates, and she knows it. A lot of people think it is very likely that the internal polls for Kamala are apocalyptic. And so this is the game that she's playing. Well, Nate Silver now has Kamala Harris favored to win, so we'll see. But she was just joking, they say, just joking. Well, we can't read the articles. I ain't paying for Telegraph. Actually, I have a subscription to Telegraph, but I'm just not logged in, so who cares? The BBC says why Kamala Harris is highlighting her gun ownership. Let's play the clip. They always got to make it so quiet.
When you said you have guns, no, at the debate. At the debate,
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
my staff will deal with that later.
But you have been a gun owner for a while.
Yes, I have. I think for far too long on the issue of gun violence, some people have been pushing a really false choice to suggest you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and I'm in favor of assault weapons bans, universal background checks, red flag laws. And these are just common sense.
Well, there you have it, my friends. That's Kamala. I got to be honest. I genuinely believe that if someone broke into Kamala Harris's house, she would shoot them. And she'd suffer no repercussions because it's rules for thee, but not for me. You live in these Democrat jurisdictions and you defend yourself and they're going to put you in jail. New Jersey, famously, how about this? I was told by police in Jersey that if someone broke into my house, and a lawyer, I'm in my house. And this is my house in Jersey back when we lived there several years ago. We had, there's no back door because the house was built on a hill. So there's the front door. And if you walk straight through the house, you're now 10 or 12 feet up because it goes down a hill. So the basement, the back door is in the basement. You want to go outside, you got to run down the stairs. All right. So what ends up happening is we get some guys trying to break in. He ends up leaving. The police catch him. He's a crazy guy. He's homeless, other blah, blah, blah. The cop tells me if it were me and someone tried to break it in, I'd grab my shotgun. And I was like, oh, yeah? Here's the problem. If someone breaks into your home in New Jersey and you feel like you are going to die and you defend yourself, you're going to prison. That's it. Period. End of story. You have the affirmative defense of I was defending myself. But there's some questions that are going to be asked of you. So you're in your house and a guy breaks in and he yells out that he's intending to do you and your family harm. So then you start blasting. The cops are going to say, why didn't you run? The prosecution says, why didn't you flee your home? And you say, flee to where? This is where I live. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Run out the door and go outside. You see, I was talking to a lawyer about it. And he said, what the court will say is, if you claim you had nowhere to go and this is your home, the response from the prosecution is, so you are telling the court you would rather kill a man than stand outside for an hour wait for the police? You'd rather, instead of standing outside or going to a gas station, you'd rather kill a man? That's how they view it. That's how they frame it. Now, the only way you can win after going to prison, and you will go to prison, and then hopefully you'll get a speedy court date, which you probably won't, is if you have no way to flee and can prove it. So even though there's no back door to this house and it goes for 12 feet, they're like, you could climb down that. You can open the door, walk outside of the deck, and you can climb down. You're a strapping young man. And I'm like, this is insane. What if they're going after my family? Well, you don't know that your family's in danger. You would take the life of a man without being sure you even knew what was going on? They are insane. Now, in West Virginia, I tell you what, West Virginia, you step foot onto someone's grass and they give you a warning. Okay, here's how it works in West Virginia. And somewhat in Maryland, but not so much. I wouldn't trust Maryland to prosecute this properly either, but it's a little bit better. Let's say that you're in West Virginia and you've got a big farmland and it's 100 acres or whatever. I don't know. That's not necessarily big, but, it's large enough. And someone's walking around in a wooded area of your property. Now, that right there, you can't do nothing about. You can go, hey, you're trespassing, get out. And then they have to leave. Now, if you put up a big no trespassing sign, now you have a little bit more legal leeway because they've passed a threshold that was designed. And there's marking on trees and there's posted signs you can put every so often. Once you enter the property, you can now be criminally prosecuted. They still can't shoot you, though. Now, hold on. If you have a physical barrier around the property that is marked and it says no trespassing private property, violators will be shot, then things change a little bit. Now, you can't just go and shoot anybody. That's because we're reasonable people out here. And I'll say this, I have joined in living in a community of reasonable people. However, the threshold of perceiving a threat is much greater, and the burden is on the person who's burglarizing your property. Once they cross a physical barrier into your property, it is now burglary. And there's misdemeanor if it's, it depends, but it could be a felony depending. And now the property owner has substantially more leeway in deciding whether or not they feel threatened. In fact, and it is a bit worrying, but it is reality. Likely out in West Virginia, if you cross a physical barrier, meaning like you open a gate or climb over it and you get shot and die, ain't nothing likely going to happen to that property owner. You're breaking onto their property. It's not extremely common. Usually people are going to come out and they're going to be like, what are you doing? Get off my property. And there was a story a little while ago where these girls drove onto some guy's property wrongly. They went the wrong driveway and then he shot into their car and killed one of them. And he went to prison for that because you can't just do that. There's no perceived threat. The point I'm making is there's two people. A guy jumps the barrier into your property. The perception of a threat is going to be up to the guy who lives there, and you got larger leeway. Usually, though, let's be real, ain't nobody going to shoot you if this happens. They're going to scream at you to get off their property and try to avoid the conflict. I'm just pointing out that in California, good luck owning a gun. And if you do, they are going to mercilessly beat you, lock you up. Ben Crump is going to go on TV and call you racist. You're not going to be able to defend yourself by any means, okay? So Kamala Harris coming out and saying this is an appeal to middle America, but it clearly backfired on her. And that's why her aides are now saying she's joking about this. She's joking. And of course, that was their plan the whole time to say, she's like, well, my staff will take care of it. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, because she's a liar. Well, I got to tell you what, my friends. I got a clip for you. We don't have a president right now. Our vice president's a moron and a liar. This video that I saw go viral, this is Gunther Eagleman. This is one of the most insane things I have ever seen. I'm going to play this clip for you of Joe Biden, and it is going to blow your minds.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Distinguished guests, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
Holy crap. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I can say. Joe Biden says, thank you for being here. And who's next? Who am I introducing? What's going on, huh? The Prime Minister of India. Whoa. Bro, he's sitting right behind you. Look, man, you can make the argument they didn't properly inform Joe what was going on. Fine. That's still scary. But, wow. Hey, what can I say? Now, in other news, not this one. Kamala's going to skip the Al Smith dinner charity event as Trump confirms attendance, the first time a candidate has declined since 1984. And that was Mondale. Oh, my God. Kamala, is she going to pull a Mondale? She is. I hope she pulls it in November. You know, who's next? I hope Kamala Harris pulls off a Walter Mondale this November and Trump wins in a landslide. But I don't know about that. We'll see. It will be funny if Trump ends up being like a Reagan 2.0. But here's the thing. You may be saying, Tim, I don't know what the Al Smith dinner is because honestly, I'm not super familiar with it either. But you are familiar with the clips because it is a common event for presidential candidates. And Trump was there with Hillary Clinton. And Trump roasted over her emails and things like this. And then Hillary Clinton got up and said Trump's speech had to be translated from Russian. Everybody laughed. It's a roast. It's meant to be silly. Kamala Harris won't do it because Trump's going to effectively debate her and she won't have an answer. He's going to call her out for things she has no answer to. He's going to call her out for lying. He's going to point out fake Zoom followers. He's going to call her out on all these issues she has no answer for. Now, of course, Kamala's demanding an a debate with CNN. Jack Posobiec made a point. He says, I have never seen the front runner, who's leading, beg this much for a debate. Guys, you can argue that Kamala was better prepared. You know, Joe Rogan said it for the debate. And you can make the argument that she won because she was more articulate or whatever you want to say. I got to tell you, my friends, I don't think that Kamala Harris won the debate in the truest sense of the term, of the word. She did not explain her economic plan. She's talking about shooting intruders in a desperate attempt to appeal to moderates who don't like her and never did. Now she's begging for another debate on CNN, friendly territory. Trump saying no. The polls show that Kamala Harris is ahead. Let's pull this up from Nate Silver. The swing states. First, I want to show you, he's saying that Kamala Harris is currently ahead, blah, blah, blah. These are the updates. And in his prediction model, he's got Kamala Harris as favored to win. Look at all these crazy fancy numbers over at the Silver Bulletin. What we want here is just this. Harris 52% to Trump's 47%. This is not polling. This is predictability model from Nate Silver. However, I have to wonder. I wonder if Nate Silver is weighing bias. I think he is, so pay attention to this. But here's what I think matters the most. In these swing states, you take a look at them. Here's where I would disagree. Who's ahead in Michigan? Harris by 49.3. I'm not going to speak for each individual state, but I can tell you that in 2016, Hillary Clinton was given an overestimation by 3.2 and Joe Biden was given an overestimation by 3.6. Kamala Harris may be up by a point or so, but based on 2016 and 20, should the polls prove to be similar, Donald Trump can't lose. I'm not saying the polls will be similar. I'm saying we can make those estimations and give Democrats a D+3. And then, of course, what do we see? Well, here's Michigan. In Michigan, you've got Emerson putting Trump at around up 0.2. You've certainly got Quinnipiac. Trump is still down. Morning Consult, Trump is still down. Insider Advantage has Trump up 4.2. And this is assuming the 2020 bias. Let's just say 3 points. YouGov has Trump up. Mitchell has Trump up. Insider Advantage has Trump up. Morning Consult, he's down by 3.5. Quinnipiac down by 2. Emerson College, he's up by 2.1. And Marist, he's down by 3. So we really don't know. It could be a toss-up. And when you go through all the other states, it really does still look like a toss-up. The question then, I suppose, is, and I haven't read his assessment, Nate Silver may actually be saying we account for the weighted biases of these polls in our prediction model. That's why it's a prediction model and not a polling aggregate. I would say that's fair. So as of right now, the prediction is 272 to 266 Kamala Harris. That's not fun, but I find it hard to believe. You know, I was hanging out yesterday after I did my morning live stream. I was hanging out and bumped into some people who were fans out here. And I mentioned, you know, I go to National Harbor in D.C. And for those that don't know what that is, it's a big tourist location. There's a convention center. There's a bunch of restaurants. There's a Ferris wheel. And there's a casino with a poker room, one of the best. But I'll do a little bit of everything, right? And I think this matters, too, because one thing to be sitting at a poker table with the boys, and you got a bunch of middle-aged guys, and they're like, I want Trump. It's another thing to be out and about in National Harbor. And I got to tell you, man, I don't see supporters of Kamala Harris. They exist, but if they do, they are default passive, and they're not talking about it. The conversations that I end up hearing. So I went to a chicken wing place like 3-4 days ago, and there were a couple guys that were hanging out, looked like they just got off work, tradesmen. I'm going to tell you outright, these guys were voting for Donald Trump. Trade worker guys. They had to have been about early 30s, mid 30s, hardworking looking dudes, still wearing their gear, ordering food, having a drink. One guy won $1,000 on a slot machine. Because for those that don't know, slot machines are literally everywhere now, and I don't like it, but it is a reality. They have these in Virginia. I was in Virginia. They have these, skill games. Skill games, they call it. Yeah, you put the money in, you press the button. It's a slot machine, but after the reel stops spinning, you have to select one reel to move up or down. Because it's a skill game, not gambling. But you have to be a moron not to realize that maraca, and then a maraca up top is not a winner when you press it down and the maraca comes down and you win $50. They call them skill games. Anyway, some guy won $1,000. Congratulations to him. But these guys were voting for Trump. You could tell. The things they were saying, boy, I tell you what. And so I was talking to someone yesterday that had recognized me and was asking about it. And I said, if you ask regular people right now everywhere, Donald Trump is the winner. But if you look at the polls, if you look at the TV, they're going to tell you it's Kamala Harris. And that means something. It means something. And I'm going to stress this again. D.C. is supposed to be a liberal stronghold. I went and saw the film Am I Racist? Matt Walsh's film. 10 out of 10. It's the best. Everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. Actually, no, I'm saying that. It is fantastic. The theater in D.C., okay, we were in, I think I was in Alexandria, just across from D.C. The theater was packed. 90%. I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not saying it was completely sold out. It was that point in theater sales or in ticket sales in movie theater where there's like individual seats here and there and nobody wants to take them because then you got to break up your group and sit next to strangers. So, but I was told at a show, I mean, I had people on my left and people on our right, and they were all laughing and cheering on Matt Walsh. And I loved it. Now, that could be bias. 20% of DC is conservative. They all showed up for the movies. I don't know, though. Every showing that I looked at for the opening weekend was to some degree packed. Not completely sold out, but it was actually frustrating because I was like, I want to get good seats, right there in the middle. Let's grab tickets. You couldn't do it. All of the good seats were sold, and so I ended up sitting in like right up front in like the third row. The screen's massive, and you're bending your neck back to see it. It was still pretty good. It's still fine, and I still had people sitting around me. But the first row was definitely empty, and so I'm just like, we'll just pick what we can get, one where we can sit next to each other. So I see all of this, and I'm like, I feel like Disney losing $1 billion in their failing movies, and the sentiment on the ground, at least where I live. The conversations I see. Understand National Harbor is a major international tourist location. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, certainly she'll win the big cities. These people don't pay attention. But I really do think that most of Kamala's voters are default libs who don't pay attention. Hence why I say, stop making me defend her. Conservatives and people on the right are paying attention. So when you say Kamala read from a prompter, we're all going to look at it and go, hey, that ain't true. And then the liberals are going to come out and be like, the people who run the show, the Democratic Party, are going to take this and say, see, look, they're lying to you. And their audience doesn't read or watch the news. They just see these clips. They go around and spread the fake. They spread what would be true. You're lying about Kamala Harris when you're pushing, or you're pushing fake news. And then when you try to talk to their supporters, they plug their ears and go, rah, 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 not listening. That's why I'm just like, you got to be, look, it's an uphill battle, all right? Which means Democrats are pointing down. And that's, we are trying to take the hill. It is harder to fight an uphill battle. But if you turn around and think you're going to fight by going downhill, you're going to lose. They're going to use that against you. So you got to play the game better, my friends. So right now, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show. Everybody, this is the call to action. Take that URL up top. You post it on Facebook, Twitter, X, wherever you can. because if everybody who shared this show, everybody who watched the show shared it, we'd be the biggest show in the world. And if you think we do a good job here and you appreciate our work, you can become a member at timcast.com to support us directly. But for $10 per month, you can help us run all of this. And some people have asked Tim, why are you doing weekends? And let me tell you, my friends. The weekends are, I got to be honest, it's part boredom. It is. There's administrative work that I took the weekends off because I wanted to do some other administrative work and spend some family time, right? And still end up sitting around being like, what more is there to do? It's like, I'm not going to go fly out on vacation. So I can take a weekend vacation periodically. So maybe 1 weekend a month, you might not see me here. But that's like if I'm going to go drive somewhere and go swimming or play mini golf or whatever, which we do sometimes. It's not every single weekend because sometimes we have work we have to do. That was kind of the point. And if I'm just spending, I get up in the morning and then I do the research around like 8 till 10, make the thumbnails. I'm done by 1. The day's still left open. So it's like, why not just do the show? Some have suggested that I will be doing pre-roll ads and mid-roll ads on Timcast IRL. Not correct. We will never do mid-roll ads in Timcast IRL unless and until, I don't know, we run out of money or something, which is not anytime soon. The members of Timcast.com make it so that we don't have to do that. That being said, just so you guys understand, I'm going to give you the raw numbers because, most people won't do this. Most shows don't talk about it, but I have no problem being more business transparent. The range of sales for an ad on a show as big as Timcast IRL is going to be between $3,000 and $10,000 per read. It really depends on the brand and how you read for 1 minute and negotiating. I've done ad reads on this show for $8,000. And so, really, just you can understand the value of a podcast. Now, I'll break it down for you. There's a sliding scale in mid-roll ads and end-roll ads. That means pre-roll is before the show starts, mid is any ad you read in the middle, and end-roll is when the show is over. End-rolls are almost worthless, but they still sell. I think you might be able to get like 500 to 1,000 for an end-roll ad. That means someone has to watch the entire show before the ad gets read off. Not a great seller for most people. They usually want the pre-roll. That's the premium. But if you did just median and said $5K for the first read, $3K for 3 mid-roll reads, you're looking at $14,000, about $15,000 just for reading an ad. So you're talking about 5 minutes of the show, just 5 minutes out of 2 hours, and you could pull in $15,000 in ads. Not to mention memberships are substantially more valuable and all these things. This is why so many people try to buy the show off of me. It's why we've had so many people say they want to buy Timcast because they know that I don't do these reads. They can offer me up money and then make a premium by making me do the ad reads I've already chosen not to do. So I just say become a member at timcast.com. Pre-order the new song Coming Home by, first you got to download iTunes. It has to be installed and everything. And then you go to getcominghome.com and it should open up your iTunes player. And then you should be able to pre-order the song. I don't know. It's complicated. It might be available on Amazon right now, but the song's officially launching on Friday. So with all that being said, let's read your super chats, and then we're going to talk about the music industry, not the Janet Jackson thing. We'll get to that a little bit later, but we'll talk about Paramore here. This is a heartbreaker, my friends. It's a heartbreaker. I've been a big fan of Paramore for a very, very long time. I was a teenager into all the pop punk stuff, Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy. You know them, you love them. And, who else do we got? My Chemical Romance, The Used, let's see, Taking Back Sunday. Paramore, of course, they're one of the biggest. And they just have gone insane. They sold their souls. And I'm going to break down for you why, because we have this song coming out, and I can explain to you a little bit about the industry and everything. But we'll grab some of your super chats. Again, smash that like button. 1 like, of course, equals 1 fight, fight, fight again. 1 like equals 1 fight, fight, fight again. Because they tried to kill Trump twice. So let's read a little bit of what you guys have to say, and then we'll grab some super chats. Funk Master General says, taking us back to the old days with these Saturday and Sunday shows. Yeah, here's a funny thing, too. When I used to do the show 7 days a week, for whatever reason, without a change in viewership, just because I added the 2 extra days on the weekends, this show peaked at number 34 of the top podcasts in the world. That's crazy. Seriously. I don't think this show even registers on the top 200 anymore. I think it sometimes will be like 180. Timcast IRL can bounce between 100 and 200. Most of our viewership is on YouTube. And I got to tell you guys, iTunes and Spotify numbers have collapsed. Spotify's doing better. No, get me wrong. That's incorrect. Correction. Spotify's increasing substantially. The deal they did with Joe Rogan was masterfully done, and it really helped them. But iTunes is losing their position in podcast dominance. YouTube now owns the space. No joke. YouTube owns podcasting now. That's crazy. And so for the international charts, the top 200 podcasts, YouTube does not count. They don't count this toward. They should. In the Chartable Digest, I think IRL and Tim Pool Daily are actually top global podcasts, whatever that means. But by adding the weekend shows, it could theoretically put us up there in the top 30 again, because adding an additional like couple 100K views per week is massive and just jumps you above all the competition. It's kind of wild that just doing 2 shows does this. So for those that want, I don't know, there's no reason really if you're watching already on YouTube, but you can catch all the shows on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms. All right, let's go. Let's see. Adam Askew says, the Pelosi son you were showing is actually the opening for his education on Sunday mornings. He even tried at one point to replace her face with his, and his viewer said no and suggested it was creepy. That's a good one, my friends. Braxton says, first, anyways, just watched Culture War from this week, Tim, and it was great. Don't know how they're going to slip past those arguments against Section 230. Some have dude, guys, check out, go to youtube.com/Timcast, watch the Culture War with let me pull it up for you. Let me just pull it up for you, okay? Jason Fick, and let's see, the live player. It was we got 100K, and this is fascinating to me because I think people just aren't familiar with the case. And hold on, I'm grabbing it. And we had Jason Fick on talking about Section 230 and the arguments for and against censorship and mass censorship. And he's made an argument, several, in my opinion, that would bring about the end of 230, content moderation as we know it, but he's being blocked. They're claiming no standing and other garbage like this, like we've seen, and now he's got a constitutional challenge. He may lose, okay, fair point. But I gotta say, this show actually was one of the most engaging and interesting shows. I'm watching it being like, wow. I look up at the clock and I'm like, dang, it's been an hour and 40 minutes. So check it out, youtube.com/Timcast. And subscribe if you haven't. You know, one of the challenging things is that the Culture War channel, it's my original channel, it's got 1.37 million subscribers, and probably around 800,000 of them are not subscribed to this channel or Timcast IRL. And it's a bummer because it's like how do you get everyone who subscribes to one channel to subscribe to all of them? Well, you can't. There's a good portion, I would say half or more of the people who subscribe to this channel don't watch Timcast IRL, and more than half of the people who watch Timcast IRL do not watch this channel. And largely because they don't know they exist. I had one guy tell me, he's like, I used to love watching your show until you stopped. And I was like, which show are you talking about? You know, your Timcast channel. And I was like, I have 3 channels and I'm doing 3 shows, and 2 of the shows, the show you're talking about still exists, just on a different channel. I was like, oh, I didn't know you had one. And I'm like, well, that sucks. You know, so it is what it is. But a lot of people tell me they don't like the morning show. They like Timcast IRL conversations. And a lot of people tell me they don't like Timcast IRL because the conversations are stupid and they like watching just the monologuing show. So this is what you get, I guess. All right. The Silence says, was there a show Friday? I can't find it. Timcast IRL, no show Friday, just Culture War. Minor family emergency, no big deal. Just had to rush out the door. And I was explaining to people, it's like, look, you know, we have Phil, who's currently on tour, but we also have Hannah Claire. And the point is, with recurring hosts, they're ready to go at any moment. They can do the show if I'm not here. And Hannah Claire has already done that for me. However, in this instance, it was so last minute. And it wasn't like, you know, I woke up and said, I can't do the show tonight. We've got something happening. I'll need someone to fill in. It was like an hour and a half before pre-production. And I said, I ran out the door, got in the car and just drove off. And then I was driving for a half an hour before I was able to stop and say, I can't, not texting and driving. I'm like, guys, I got a family emergency. We can't do this. Sorry. It was a Friday, you know, but Culture War was up. It is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. But I will tell you, Could you imagine what people would be saying if I had, a family emergency and said, forget about it, we're doing a show, and then it turned out to be a serious thing, and they're like, some bad thing happened to Tim's family, and he ignored them and did the show anyway. Yeah, I'd rather just miss the show. But personally, I'm not going to, sorry guys. Each and every one of you have your importance, but it's but one show to be missed. I'm going to make sure my family's all right. And everything was fine. Everything was fine. Ended up just going out and grabbing food then and having a drink. It was injury related, but minor, nothing big, and nothing ended up really happening. But I'm going to run out the door. It's just, it's how we go. All right, let's grab a couple more here before we talk about Paramore. Alice Wander says, I am canvassing for Republicans in Wisconsin. Listening to your motivational speech yesterday has lit a fire in me to ensure I am knocking on at least 800 doors a week. Thank you for being inspiring and a leader. Well, I appreciate the message. It's not my intent to be inspiring or a leader. It's actually more of me venting my frustrations. The other day I was talking about society failing men and boys, and I said, life is hard. It's supposed to be a challenge. It's not supposed to be easy. You'd be bored if it was easy. You'd wonder why you were doing it at all. So you have to go out there and do the hardest thing imaginable. I did this big, long thing talking about how men and boys, there's so many young men who are entitled and think it's not fair, women have it easier, blah, blah, blah. You're supposed to have it harder. You're a man. Men are supposed to work as hard as possible to the bone and become chiseled, scarred, and ripped. Older guys have the scar on their face where the beard don't grow. They've got cuts and bruises on their legs, calluses on their hands. And that's what it means to be a man, not a dainty, soft jelly ball. Come on. But really, it's not meant, I wasn't thinking to myself, I want to be inspirational and be a leader. I was thinking, where are the men at? Stand up, be a man. I'm tired of going outside and seeing jelly rolls rolling about. Actually, Jelly Roll's great, the artist. But I'm saying, there are people who are like, I shouldn't have to work. It's not fair. Women get all this, they get all that. Just sure do. Because they're women and you're a man, and men and women are different, and men are supposed to lift the hardest thing imaginable. The aspirational stories of superhero masculinity is the guy, the superhero, the bus falls and he catches it and it's full of children and he's screaming and he's like, and he's good. That's what we celebrate. And the kids are screaming and they're scared. Spider-Man, he's got to save Mary Jane or the children. And Green Goblin's like, choose Spider-Man. And Spider-Man saves them both. Or how about when Spider-Man's in the train, this is 20-year-old Spider-Man, and he's screaming bloody with his mask ripped off, trying to stop the train from crashing where everyone's going to die. We cherish that which is not easy. That which is not easy. That's what we look at. Let's go. All right. We'll grab one more. Emax Tactical says, just want to say thank you for doing the Saturday and Sunday shows again. I used to not listen until Friday morning and Friday night, so I had something to listen to Saturday and Sunday while filling orders. Well, you, of course, always still listen to Timcast IRL. One of the challenges is diminishing returns. Before I launched Timcast IRL, the viewership on the morning show was substantially higher. Launching Timcast IRL increased total viewership, but it didn't double it, right? It's not like a new person watches IRL and a new person watches Timcast mornings. It's that one person, it's now like 1.5. So we double the workload and we reduce viewership for both. So it's kind of like, there is a happy medium in the bell curve of I could work just mornings and be done around 2 or 3, and I would get double the views on this show and all of the clips. It would be less overall views relative to what Timcast IRL brings. It would bring in less guests and make less money, but it's not like I'm doubling my money by doubling my shows. It doesn't work that way. Adding these weekend shows means I will work every single day of the week, take no days off, and I will only add maybe like 20% viewership, despite having no days off. That's where the happy medium comes in. This will also result in Timcast IRL Friday shows getting slightly less viewership when people watch this show instead of that one. And there you go, man. There's only so much you can do. There's only so many eyeballs, and there's only so much time. But let's jump to Paramore. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Rolling Stone magazine, Haley Williams of Paramore slams Donald Trump. Project 2025 at iHeartRadio Fest. Do you want to live in a dictatorship? Boy, do I have so much to say about this. I've been a big fan of Paramore for a while, as much as I've been a fan of, as I mentioned, The Used, Taking Back Sunday. Who else did we have? I don't know. There were a lot of bands. Panic at the Disco earlier stuff. I don't really listen to this stuff that much anymore. But there were a lot of bands in this space of pop punk, post-punk, indie rock. Paramore was a bit poppier, but I did enjoy their music, despite the fact that it was written by a teenage girl who was constantly writing about how she was upset with the boy she was dating. I don't mean that disrespectfully. That's the truth. That's what her songs are basically all about. I don't know what else she'd sing about. She was a teenage girl singing about what she was experiencing, and that's what you'd expect. But they're poppy, they're catchy, they're fun. And they did have that song back in 2013 called Still Into You, which is about her husband, and it is a heartwarming, good poppy beat. However, this lady has lost her way. She used to be based, and this is true, and I'll tell you all about this. First, let's play the clip in question, but the point of this story, why we're covering it, it appears she was reading a script the whole time. She was told what to say about Donald Trump at this event, and it is despicable. It is cringe-inducing. It is a betrayal of this country and the American people, and I am ashamed to say that I was a fan of this band. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people say, if I judged everything off of politics, I'd never like any band. Oh, I like Paramore, but this is despicable. This is, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. It's one thing for Taylor Swift to say, I believe in Kamala Harris, positive message. And I say, okay, well, Taylor Swift's going to Taylor Swift. Let's not, Hayley Williams goes on stage, apparently reading from a script and lying. That's despicable, the dishonesty. All right? Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't change the fact that I like a lot of their songs. Even some of their newer stuff, which is kind of weird and isn't really doing that well, but we'll talk about that. And I believe this may be why Hayley Williams decided to make this statement. Paramore ain't doing so well. I mean, they're doing great by any standard metric, but not where they used to be. And so let's talk about what it means to be a child star. First, here's the clip in question of Hayley Williams.
Project 2025 is Donald Trump's playbook for controlling and punishing women, poor people, people of color, and the LGBTQ plus community. It is time for all Americans to band together and to finally defeat the Trump agenda. And the only way to do that is by confronting him at the polls. Do you want to live in a dictatorship? Well, show up and vote! Yeah!
Cringe. Well, here's the crazy thing. Take a look at this video.
Is Donald Trump's playbook for controlling and punishing women, poor people, people of color, and the LGBTQ plus community. It is time for all Americans to band together and to finally defeat the Trump agenda. And the only way to do that is by confronting him at the polls. Do you want to live in a dictatorship? Well, show up and vote!
So I'll point this out. As you can see in the video, Hayley Williams famously has a cross, a Christian cross tattooed on her leg. And that's what I was saying. She used to be based. She had talked about her Christian faith, and I'm not a Christian, but I mean based as in she used to actually have moral convictions, although they never really talked a whole lot about these things. So let's talk about this. Let's read a little bit. It's not the first time she has gotten political and attacked conservatives. I never really cared about that. The issue at hand right now is the deceit. It is the intentional, willful lying to people about Project 2025, injecting the lie. When Hayley Williams comes out, and like many other celebrities and musicians or whatever, and says things like, I don't like Republicans. I go, yeah, well, I don't either, but whatever, everybody. I'm not going to stop listening to music because someone's got a political message. However, when you go into the territory of deciding to lie to the American people so that someone can win or steal political power, I'm going to have a problem with you. And that, it just doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Taylor Swift comes out and says, there was AI of me on Trump's page or whatever. I'm for Kamala Harris because she does these things. I go, that's what Taylor Swift wants. And what did I do? I defended Taylor Swift. I've repeatedly defended Taylor Swift, saying don't make enemies of political moderates and celebrities. They're going to endorse Kamala. You want to say things like, hey, guys, but this is not an endorsement of Kamala Harris. This is a manipulative condemnation of something Trump has nothing to do with, tying him to a project which is not Donald Trump. Trump has Agenda 47. What they're doing is, Tim Walz puts out this video where he's working on a car. And he's like, this is a carburetor. And the car comes with a manual that explains how to fix the car. Project 2025 is Donald Trump's manual for his presidency. No, Agenda 47 is Trump's manual for his presidency. He literally has one. It's called Agenda 47. It's going to be funny if Joe Biden gets 25th Amendmented and Kamala Harris becomes the 47th president, and then Trump's going to have to call it Agenda 48, but I digress. Trump's plan is Agenda 47. He's written about it. He's talked about it. It's on his dang old website. Project 2025 is the Heritage Foundation, a collection of various authors who have written up essays, put it into a book, and they do it every single election cycle. They've decided this time they're going to lie about it. Now, either Haley Williams is a liar or she's an idiot, okay? And again, I've been a big fan of Paramore for the whole time. Look, here's what I expect of Haley Williams in this regard. By all means, hate Donald Trump, criticize Donald Trump, but stop lying about it. Don't have someone hold up a script for you to read where you lie about it. I have no problem if she went on stage and said, I'm here to tell you Kamala Harris is the right choice for these reasons. I'd say, welcome to America, baby. You're allowed to do it. And she's allowed to say all this stuff too, but she's a liar. You know what I think? I'll tell you what really happened. She was told to say it. She didn't know. She didn't care. And that's almost worse. The banality of evil, the ignorance, the apathy. She does not care one bit. They go on to say that Williams has long used her microphone to condemn Republicans over their anti-LGBTQ laws, including at a show in D.C. in June of 2023, where she told fans, if you vote for Ron DeSantis, you're effing dead to me. Is that comfortable enough for anyone? You see, not fun, not fun. Mean, nasty. What happened, man? Taylor Swift ain't be doing this. Taylor Swift put out a message being like, could you imagine if Taylor Swift was like, if you vote Donald Trump, you're effing dead to me? People would be like, dang, Taylor, chill. But I can tell you why Haley's angry. Because, as I mentioned, I can talk to you about a lot of bands. I can talk to you about The Used and Burt McCracken. Burt's based, but I don't know, also kind of not. I'd love to have Burt on the show, by the way, because I'm a huge The Used fan. But I got to be honest, like their first two albums, The Used albums, it's the music is so good. Like most bands, it gets later on, it gets a little sloppier. No offense, The Used. I'm still a big fan. You guys have tremendous work. But my understanding is there was a period where a lot of these individuals were actually based. And then they decided to whip, crack, fall in line. And it's a bummer. It's a big bummer. You guys want to understand why Haley Williams is so angry? I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to say this with as much empathy as I can as someone who has been a fan of Paramore and, like I mentioned, many other bands. Paramore was really big in the pop punk days. They were probably the biggest. Decode by Paramore is an excellent song. Again, I'll stress the lyrics are always just basically about her relationship with the guitarist, Zach Farro. I think Zach Farro is a genius, by the way. It's unfortunate that he left the band, but I look forward to seeing his future musical endeavors. I believe it was Zach. Was it Zach? Am I getting their names wrong? Or is Zach the guy who's still in the band? The two brothers. Let me pull that one up. Am I getting the name wrong? No. Zach is the drummer. He's cool too. It's all right. Who was it? What was his brother's name? See, now I don't even know his brother's name. Who was it? Josh Farro. Josh is a genius. Zach is good. He's a good drummer. No, I didn't mean no disrespect. But Josh wrote all this amazing guitar stuff for the early Paramore days. And I looked through it and I'm like, man, that's really great. And, that combination that he had with that guitar and Haley's melodies and everything, it really was great. When he left the band, it wasn't the same. I think Monster was the last song that he had written with them. And that song is really good. I'm a fan. It was heavier. It was more intense. And then after that, things kind of, changed. But I'm going to show you why I think Haley Williams has decided to get political and just become so anti-Republican. I was saying in the earlier portion of the live show, for those that, if you're just watching the segment, that when you're young, you care about, or I should say I did in my generation, and I assume this to be true for many people. I was thinking about this the other day when I was watching some younger dudes skateboarding and just breaking themselves to land these tricks. And I'm like, I totally get it. I remember being 17, being 20, and you are a young man. I can't speak for everybody. I was a young man. And what did I have? Who was I? Why would anyone listen to anything I had to say? I had nothing. I had done nothing great. I was just a trainee. And so I said, I need to show that I can do this. Give me the job. I will lift. And so I'm throwing myself downstairs. I'm jumping down handrails. I'm playing guitar. I am working to the bone, trying as hard as I can. And I remember that, you're trying to establish yourself and prove you can do it and be the best you can be. So what do people care about back, when you're younger? You care about what other people think to prove that you can fit in. I don't know if the same is for women as it is for men. I can't speak to that. But, you try as hard as you can, right? What you care about then is going to be heavily social and cultural. But as you get older, you start to get worried about, can you afford a house? You get a wife, you get married. Many people in their 20s, they have kids. Average age of having a kid has actually gone way up, about 30 now, which is kind of crazy. But now you've got a family, and you don't really care what other people think. You care about making sure your family is surviving. And then you start to focus more on politics and policy, because you're starting to think, hey, man, I need my 401k. I need to be able to withdraw this amount of money, and your taxes are strangling me. All of a sudden, you're political. So Paramore, Hayley Williams, she can sing a song about how she's in love with this guitar player, but now they're falling apart. And other young people resonate with that message. Young people exploring life, love, and relationships are going to hear this, and it's going to be deeply impactful. But what about people who are already married, aren't suffering divorce and relationship issues, aren't searching for relationships? They're not so much. They're not going to be worried about finding new music that allows them to connect socially. They're going to be worried about how they make more money and build a bigger house so their children can go to school and they can put food on the table. Therein lies the problem for most cultural actors. Paramore, Hayley Williams is now 35. I think she's 35. And so the people who once listened to her music don't rightly care about saying something like, how did we get here? I used to know you so well. That's fun songs. But now it's like, when you're a teenager going through a breakup that doesn't really matter that much, you're like, yeah, I used to know you so well, now we're breaking up. But most people who are married aren't getting the divorces. I mean, maybe divorcees might listen to that song these days. But here's what happens. So Hayley Williams needs a message that will resonate more so with the millennial fans she has, who are the ones who buy her music, because it ain't younger people. Same is true for Taylor Swift. Their fans are slightly younger than they are, but overwhelmingly late 20s, early 30s. Take a look at the demographics. I pulled this stuff up when Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. Taylor Swift's endorsement backfired, by the way. More of her fans said they were less likely now to support Kamala Harris. Trump then comes out and says, I hate Taylor Swift. So I think what you see here is, like with many artists, they're realizing that the message that will resonate largely is going to be political, not social cultural. Thus, you end up with a lot of people now trying to move from entertainment into politics. There are a bunch of YouTubers, you can see it. They once played video games, but now it's all politics. Well, their audience aged with them. And I can speak for this to myself. I actually, 7 years ago, actually used to have a lot of segments that were about video games and movies. I don't do that as much anymore. A little bit now, but now it's largely like politics, policy, and war, because I care more about the structure of the world and less about whether or not they're going to make a movie. But I do have a segment on Disney and Marvel because it's still culturally relevant. That being said, let me show you the breakdown. I have here the Wikipedia page for Paramore. I think it's actually fairly obvious where we're at, okay? All we know is Falling. The first album they released, studio, Fueled by Ramen, and I think there's a parent company there. It didn't chart at all. It charted in the UK. Certified gold, RIAA. So when something's platinum, gold, or whatever, we usually refer to the RIAA, which is Record Industry Association of America. Record Industry Association of America, right? That's what it is. And so their first album is kind of, but then they released Riot in 2007. It hit number 15. It sells 1.4 million copies, 3 times platinum. ARIA platinum, BPI platinum, MC gold, RMNZ gold. Bang! They're hitting it, baby. They charted in multiple countries. They're in Australia. They're in AUT. What is Austria? There you go. Finland, Ireland, the Netherlands, New Zealand, the UK. Bang! And then what happened? They dropped the follow-up album, Brand New Eyes. Now, the sales were less, but still, platinum. Number 2 U.S. Hot 100 albums. They then drop in 2013, number 1. the number one release in the U.S. was Paramore. Now, check this out. Also platinum. Aria Gold. Starting to fade a little bit. This happens to everybody, right? But notice this. Riot in 07 was 1.4 million sold, and it was only number 15. The times they are a-changing. Brand New Eyes was number 2, but it sold half as much. The Paramore album was number 1, but it only sold 100,000 copies. The digital age had begun. Still certified platinum because of plays. Paramore had some big hits, such as Still Into You. Then we get After Laughter in 2017. This had a big hit called Hard Times. Not platinum at all. In fact, it's only RIAA Gold. It only sold 53,000 copies. My friends, I'd like to tell you that when I released Timcast Music, let's clarify, Carter Banks and I worked on a song together again. We sold, I think, around 35 to 40,000 copies of this song. Granted, these are albums, not a song sale, so fine. We do have several songs. We have a bunch of songs done already that we just haven't put out yet. And I'm kind of like telling Carter, like, maybe we should just release them with a lyric video instead of trying to do these music videos every time. But whatever, we do what we feel like doing. We do have a song coming out. Go to getcominghome.com. You need iTunes. You can pre-order it. Anyway, I digress. In 2017, Paramore is no longer platinum. They are not a platinum selling artist. Their album is now, even though it's number 6, which is one of the best, it doesn't matter. They only sold 53,000 copies. Congratulations. You're the king of a mountain nobody's on anymore. And then you get This Is Why. Debuts at number 2. Even better than the last. It doesn't even reach gold status. Gold status is the equivalent of 500,000 sales. In the U.S., they sold only 47,000, less than After Laughter. I am not trying to rag on Paramore. Even through all of this, I have been a fan of their music, and I have listened to all of it, and they're on my playlist. But I got to tell you what breaks my heart. We go down to singles, and you can see this as well. They've released a bunch of singles that have done very, very well. Misery Business was huge. U.S. Hot 100 26, 6 times platinum RIAA. Wow. A multi-platinum rock star. Incredible stuff. Crush, 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 number 54. You can see that in their Pressure was the first release in 05. It was gold. That's really good. That's 500,000 sales. But they didn't chart anywhere. That's actually pretty amazing if you ask me. Because I got to be honest. All of the songs, I think, like, what do we have? 6 songs? 5 out of 6 have charted on various charts, including U.S. rock. I think all of them. No, Together Again didn't. It wasn't even a rock song. But they ripped us off, even though it was the highest selling song we've ever put out, our last song. So insane how they rigged the game. But I digress. Misery Business is huge. Take a look at just platinum, 2 times platinum. What do we have? Decode was 2 times platinum from the Twilight movie. Wow. Then you get Ignorance. Also, I like the song, but it's only gold, but still number 67. Brick by Boring Brick. This one actually surprised me. This was one of their biggest releases, and only silver, but I digress. The only exception was number 24, 2 times platinum. Monster, number 36, certified gold. Still Into You in the next album, 2 times platinum. That was a hit. And Ain't It Fun was one of their biggest songs ever, 3 times platinum. Look at that. They followed up in 2017 with Hard Times. And now you're wondering, Tim, why are you reading me off the Paramore discography? To show you where they've been since 2018. Rose-Colored Boy, barely charts, no certifications. Caught in the Middle, doesn't chart at all, no certifications. This Is Why. Hits number 15 on rock charts and 90 in some other countries. No certifications. The News, no certifications. C'est comme ça, no certifications. Running out of time. Burning Down the House. David Byrne does Hard Times. None of the songs they've put out in the past 6 years have got any certifications. Barely even charting, mind you. Caught in the Middle was a release that didn't even chart. I am not trying to rag on this band. Not at all. I like Paramore's music. I think Haley Williams is fantastic at writing songs. But I think what we're seeing right now is the child star effect combined with what people care about. She comes out and she goes full anti-Donald Trump with rage in her heart, lying. And it's like, hey, Taylor Swift isn't angry. You know why? Taylor Swift's the top of the mountain. the mountain that everyone's paying attention to. Paramore opens for Taylor Swift now. Take a look at some of the videos of Paramore opening for Taylor Swift. You know, and I think it's sad because I think Paramore's better than Taylor Swift is. Granted, I grew up in the pop punk era, so it is what it is. But you look at these videos and what do you see? The stadiums that they're playing in, while they have a lot of people, and it's really cool to get to do, they're mostly empty. People are coming in, getting ready for the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, and they're not really paying attention to Paramore. And it's kind of sad, you know. But she's friends with Taylor, and they do music together. But when Taylor comes out, the whole stadium fills up, everyone's screaming. Taylor's got everything going for her. She's the top celebrity in the world, probably. So when she puts out a message, I don't need to be angry. I don't need to insult half the country or lie about it. But I take a look at Paramore, and what do I see? I see an individual who's deeply angry over personal issues, which suck. There's a lot of backstory that anybody who's a fan of the band knows about, divorce and things like this. But you take a look at going from being the top with multi-platinum songs to 6 years later, you are not even hitting it. And I kind of feel like here's an individual who is undergoing this child star, the same issue as many child stars, handling it much better, but in different ways. Let me explain. Child stars, they're young people, and they're told by an industry, you're the best. They put you on TV. They say, everybody loves you. As a little kid, what happens? In your formative years, let's do it mathematically. Let's say the average person receives his 10 love units growing up. 10 love units per month. That is, their friends and their family enjoy their company and give them hugs. That's it. Strangers don't like them. And to this, it is normal. They say, my mom says I'm the most handsome guy in school, but other people call me ugly. Then you get older. As you get older, you either experience more or less or otherwise, but you don't need that much. You don't need the whole world screaming your name. You don't need any of that. You're from humble beginnings. But imagine you're a child star. You're 14 years old. Everyone tells you not only are you the best, you're making all this money, everybody's screaming and cheering your name, you're receiving 10,000 love units per month. And to you, as you grow up, you think, this is what my life is supposed to be. This is what life is. So what happens when you're now 35 and you're only getting 100 love units per month? I'm just using an arbitrary math to explain the general idea. How about this? When I say love units, you say people giving you a hug, right? When you're a celebrity, everybody in the world wants to give you a hug and shake your hand and high five you. And so when you grow up as a little kid being told you're the best, the most beautiful, the most handsome, the smartest, the most talented, and you're like, this is normal. Every single day you want more, and you're hoping that the next thing you put out will be bigger and better. And then you get it. For 10 years, you are the top of the mountain, and you're smiling. But eventually you normalize. You say, this is just what life is. What happens then when you're 30, 35, and all of a sudden, no one cares about you anymore? You are now falling below average to what is an expectation that you've developed. You are no longer getting the love and the admiration, the opportunity, the money, and it feels like you've done something wrong, and it feels like people don't like you. And so what happens? Well, you get angry. You get depressed. Some people get really mad about it. Some people do drugs. This is why child stars often fall off. Maybe you're like Scarlett Johansson. You're on top the entire time. You just go from child stardom. You know, what was she? Like she was a Mouseketeer or something. I don't know what she was doing. But she was at a very young age working. Natalie Portman. Notice the people who start as child stars but work as they get older, don't have the same mental breakdowns because they are still receiving the same admiration for their talents and their appearance. There are some individuals who are considered very cute child stars. And then what happened? Well, unfortunately for them, they got ugly and awkward and they got dropped. And all of a sudden now, everyone's just mean to them. Like, that was you? What happened to you? You look gross, because you can't tell what's going to happen to a kid when they get older. And here we are. So Paramore decides that they're going to go the political route with anger. And I think it largely has to do with a loss of relevancy. What matters most to people our age? Politics. They're probably telling her, your audience wants politics. They're in their 30s. You're not going to hit the teenagers anymore. They don't care about new music unless you go political. So what happens? The News. A song they put out charts on the U.S. rock chart at 35, and in it Haley Williams is singing about how there's all these bad things happening around the world and she can't even do anything about it. And it's fairly generic, not super negative or anything, but she says, turn on, turn off the news. And this is a lot to me. This is a lot. Running Out of Time, I thought was a pretty good song. It's kind of like Fiona Apple. But a lot of people think you can see it in the failures of Paramore. But I'm going to wrap it up there. It is what it is, my friends. It happens to everybody. I think really you just have to accept that you're not going to be the young teen phenomenon. And understand this too. 1.4 million sales for a song like, for an album like Riot. How much of these sales were adults, parents, who bought the album for their teenage daughters, not the other way around, not the teenage daughters wanting to buy the album? I will say it's really funny. When I was a teenager, every single pop punk, scene girl was writing their AIM screen names was like Riot Girl 364 or whatever. And they were all writing Riot and whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. It was like a weird thing. I think a lot of it was just manufactured and parents bought the albums for their kids. It does not translate to these kids getting older. Many of them are still going to be fans. But that's it. That's the reality. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. We got a couple more segments coming up for you on this wonderful Sunday show. I'm very passionate talking about the music stuff because I've been in the periphery of the music industry for a little bit. We got a new song coming out. Go to getcominghome.com. You need the iTunes player. You can pre-order the song, I think. That's what we're supposed to be able to do with it. But I'll tell you this. We had around 35, I think the total may be like 40,000 sales of our last single, Together Again, which was a team up with the Daily Wire. And as you can see, that absolutely should have resulted in some kind of certification. But they came to us and told us at the last minute that, that thing you were doing that we told you was good and we were tracking all your sales, it don't count no more. And we were like, we sold like 35,000 songs. That is huge. That's beating out a bunch of these other individuals, other bands. And they were like, yeah, we don't care. We won't count it. So fine, I guess. Let them have their games and play whatever stupid garbage they want to play, I suppose. But we'll jump to your super chats, my friends. Maybe let's see what we have in the old roster. We can oh boy. How about we go here? Let's talk about Chicago. But first, we'll grab your super chats. Let's go. Common Sense Fishing says, like your music reminds me of 90s rock. I'd recommend try mixing some genres, maybe a country rock song. How about reach out to Tom McDonald or Dax to do a compilation? They got Ben Shapiro. We actually did reach out to the Daily Wire because the song has a violin in it. And they said that they were initially interested. They were going to try and get Ben, see if they could get Ben to do it. Ben was too busy to lay down some tracks for us, unfortunately. But I was hoping we could get some violin from Ben Shapiro. But I get it. They're busy people. That being said, guys, have you not, have you not heard Together Again? Here you go. I'll play a little bit. So this is a cover of of Smokey Mack and the God King, the Daily Wire band with Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles. And we made a modern pop synth version of it. And it's our biggest release ever. It got more views than ever. Probably, that was the point. We were like, if we just do the traditional, rock stuff that we do, that's like 90s, 2000s rock, it's kind of what we like. It's a little bit modernized, but it's still much more similar to the music we grew up listening to. I'm a big fan of grunge and Soundgarden and bands like that, and pop punk stuff. And Carter's a big fan of pop punk. But we're like, we'll do a pop song. We have we have one song, doesn't really have a name yet, and it's like synth, dancey, punk rock kind of. I don't know. There's no guitar in it. But sure enough, we did this pop version, and it was the biggest song we did, and we sold twice as much as we ever sold before, and they told us it didn't count. Because I think they're cheating. All right, Russ of the Frozen North says, woke up, turned on Timcast. He's talking about my former favorite band. It's going to be an interesting day. It's a bummer, isn't it? What little fans she had left. We're all older. Why slice your audience in half? I don't know. She should have just stayed out of it. So this is funny. What is this? Taylor Roblox fan says literally copied The Weeknd. You figured out the joke. Congratulations. I thought it might be too hard for you, sir. The point was to take Together Again by Smokey Mike and the God King and recreate it in the style of modern synth like The Weeknd. It was a joke. We were intentionally trying to poke fun at the industry. We had a couple other people really liked it. That's the point. All right, let me grab something to drink. Today it's a delicious sparkling raspberry lime spindrift. All right. What have we here? Cilantro Industrial Complex says, sad, I saw Paramore twice, was a big fan in high school. Once the original band members left, they went to, what is this? They went to pop. Indeed. Yeah, with Josh Farro, he had these great hard, grungy, and punk riffs on the guitar. And it did really well. I have to wonder if, that's one of the things that hurt the band. It might have actually helped them stay more relevant for a little while, that they went poppier, more pop rock. Is what it is. MR says, Tim is lying about it being a joke. That's the cope. It's the most song. We've sold more copies of that song, and it's got 10 million plays. Why would I joke about the biggest release we've ever done? Like, what am I coping about? We nailed it. We set out to do exactly what we wanted to do, and they got real mad about it. So basically what happened was we're in touch with these people, and we're like, I'll be relatively vague. My general understanding is we laid out a plan for each and every one of these songs for distribution to properly work within the confines of what the industry requires for charting. And we knew this song was going to be the biggest one we did for a variety of reasons. One, we were teaming up with the Daily Wire. Two, we made a pop synth song that was inspired by The Weeknd. So I was like, of course this is going to do better. It's got a larger market appeal, more modern, and we're teaming up with a massive network. And we sold in the first week like 35,000. It's probably closer to 40K total. And then they told us that our sales didn't count. It was the biggest release we've ever done. I'm dang proud of it. So I don't know what I'm supposed to be coping about. I'm stoked on it. And the whole thing was a joke. That's why it's a cover of Smokey Mike and the God King. And like, can I point this out? Hold on. I love this. He's coping that it's a joke. Okay, here's the intro.
This is MSMBS. The year is 1967, and something incredible happens to music. Smokey Mike and the God King unveiled their hit song, Together Again. The song was massive, charting in both 1967 and 1968, and spent 87 weeks at number 1. Needless to say, America was hooked.
We got Michael Knowles and Jeremy Boring to sing a song in black and white for us.
And a legacy was born. A legacy that continues to this day.
What inspired you to bring a song of this magnitude into the world?
I think it's no secret that our band was effectively done after Ian was caught mercilessly beating that child. But I was hoping there was some way we could turn things around. Working with my mentor, Phil Labonte, I asked him, is there something we can do that's not been done that'll be big? And he pointed out, with all these greats like the Beatles, with Zeppelin, and Smokey Mike and the God King, there are a lot of opportunities for modern versions that have not been done properly. Now, a lot of people have covered Zeppelin, of course, but no one's done a good modern version of Together Again. And he was right. And I think that's when we realized if we get this right, it could be huge.
So Carter, can you tell me, was it a challenge to create a modern version of such a timeless classic?
No. Are you f***ing stupid? Carter f***ing Banks. Next question.
Okay, well, I would like to get into the area of your crippling rock star energy addiction.
Hey, f*** you, man. We said that was off limits. I'm done. Hey, where's my M&Ms? Where's Phil? Get Phil in here.
The whole thing is a joke. And so we ended up getting, we have 6.8 million views on YouTube. And we ended up with like 2 or 3 million on the lyric video. We've got another like million on other across the board on other players. It was the biggest release we've ever done. It was a joke. It was funny. It was silly. And we had a good time doing it. And they told us that it's like the biggest thing we put out. And they said that it didn't count. So have fun. It's not a political song in any sense of the imagination. It was just pop, modern synth. We weren't saying F Joe Biden or anything like that. And they told us it didn't count. So how about that? Well, the next song we have for you, ladies and gentlemen, Coming Home, which I think is over here, is not overtly political, but it's absolutely political.
On a quiet, faded pavement, I drove myself to find the place.
So that song's coming out Friday. You can pre-order it now. Anyway, for those that are asking, I'll grab one more super chat here before we read this. Beep Beep says Haley boasted in her music about home wrecking, then acted surprised about being cheated on. Trash human with trash morals. Yep. Yeah, well, it is what it is. Riley Gerald says, our 4-year-old loves Together Again and Timcast music. He started dancing when you just played it. Can you give him a shout out? His name is Harlan. Harlan! Shout out. Thanks for listening to Timcast music. How many songs do we have so far? I think we have 6 released, but I have a whole bunch. So I got my guitar here. I could play a song that I've never played. I think I've never played before. We are working on it, but I don't know how much I actually care about it. I probably have maybe 1,000 songs. And it's funny when I tell people that, they're like, 1,000? I'm like, I've been playing music since I was 7 years old, dude. And I was in a couple bands, and we've written tons and tons of music. But it's not the craziest thing in the world to write a song. It's just they're not all good. You know what I mean? I could just make up a song right now on the spot, and you're going to be like, that's not a very good song. And I'm like, yeah. And then I just put it off to the side. But they can't be fixed. So Coming Home was a riff that I had with a vocal melody, and that was it. So I had a verse. And then Carter and Phil, we sat down. I said, I really want to use this riff because, like, the lyrics are like this, and it's about this. I just don't know how to finish out the song. And with the help of Phil and Carter, we finished writing it. And it was a riff I had written 20 years ago that I never really used, and then only recently wrote the melody to because I was like, I like this, and I gotta do something with it. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump to this segment. We got this one from the New York Post. Chicago gangbangers face off against newly arrived Venezuelan migrants. City is going to go up in flames. Indeed, my friends. That's why I don't live there anymore. I was talking to somebody from Chicago recently, and I'd seen this video where a food court I used to eat at was on some abandoned places social media channel where they're like exploring abandoned places. And I was like, hold on a minute. Is this downtown? And they're like exploring an abandoned skyscraper in Chicago. And I was like, dude, that's a food court. That's the food court. Holy crap. I mean, how do 12 to 13 restaurants in downtown in a big food court go to business? I don't know, but they're gone. So I was talking to somebody from Chicago, and I asked them, like, what's been going on? Is it really that bad? And they were like, dude, there's like 12-year-old gangbangers running around with handguns. Like, it is not good. Now, you're probably not going to notice these things for the most part, but for a lot of people, when I grew up in Chicago, yeah, I've been shot at a couple times. The fights over at the high school, people brought guns. Everybody was in a gang. But you got by. I don't know. I was talking to a couple of people from South Africa once, and I had asked them about, we were doing an interview with them, is South Africa actually as bad as people say it is? And they said, it's not that bad, I think. And I think the guy goes, we've only been carjacked, I think, 5 times. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm from Chicago. I've never been carjacked. To them, it was normal. And the worst crime was the people who had been carjacked 10 times, then murdered or whatever. So for them, it was like, we only got carjacked 5 times. I was like, that's actually bad. So I grew up in Chicago, and we got by. Most of the time, you never saw these things. Although I did have a friend who said that he was on near 63rd and Cicero-ish, between Cicero and Pulaski on the south side. He said he saw, one day he was taking out his garbage, and he saw 2 people dragging a carpet with feet sticking out. We know what that means. And then I think it was the next day, the news reported they found a dead body. So that's Chicago for you. We got by. To hear people I know from Chicago now saying it's really bad terrifies me because I thought it was bad back then, but we got by. I ended up leaving. Didn't think too much about it. I've been mugged before too. I was exiting at Independence off of 290, I-290 with some family, and we were just heading north when we're driving this way and a car is coming this way, and the guy just leans out the window with a gun and bang, fires right at us. And we like, what the? He didn't hit us. He didn't hit the car. For no reason, just shot at us. That's Chicago. Now with these Venezuelan gangs that are coming in, dude, it's about to light up. New York Post says, after serving 20 years in state prison for murder, former gangbanger Tyrone Muhammad never expected to return to the city's tough South Side and find Venezuelan migrants and the criminal Tren de Aragua gang moving in. But Muhammad, 53, who's gone straight and runs a street patrol and violence prevention program called Ex-Cons for Social Change, says Venezuelan criminal gangs flooding shelters and taking over apartment buildings are the last straw for struggling African-American communities. He says they are furious at seeing government money going to what they call non-citizens. He's right. Quote, it's impossible to release gang members and criminals into our country through the borders and broken walls and infiltrate them in our country that's already impoverished and broken. Muhammad told the Post last week on the O Block, a stretch along South King Drive that's considered the most dangerous in the city. When the black gangs here get fed up with the illegalities and criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in flames, and there will be nothing the National Guard or the government can do about it. When the bloodshed hits the streets, it'll be blacks against migrants. The latest figures show Chicago has spent almost $500 million over the last 2 years on more than 42,000 migrants who've arrived since 2022. Many have been given money for rent, food stamps, cards, and even cars. And some landlords have pushed out local African Americans because they can get more government money from housing migrants. Some belong to the one-time Venezuelan prison gang turned vicious multinational crime syndicate, Tren de Aragua, whose sources in Chicago told the Post are heavily armed, brazen, and spilling into areas of the South Side. Those areas are traditionally controlled by hundreds of entrenched gangs, from the gangster disciples and Black P-Stones to the Vice Lords, Latin Kings, and Satan disciples. Oh boy, I can tell you all about the South Side Chicago gangs. I knew a bunch of them. So back then we had the popes, but the popes broke down into a bunch of different gangs. You had the insane popes and the almighty popes. I don't know. Let's see. Disciples, Vice Lords, Latin Kings. You got Four Corner Hustlers. You've got, what Satan disciples. Yeah, we had those. Kind of weird, too. The bishops. That was another gang. And the funny thing is, I remember my friend being like, we're like talking about the gangs, and he's like, the popes, the bishops, the Latin, the vice lords, like the disciples. What's next? The choir boys? And we all laughed. The choir boys. It's just very religious themed. The Latin Kings, everybody actually liked, though. I'll tell you this. The Latin Kings, most people that I knew were fans, actually. The Latin Kings were more like, and I've not been in Chicago in a long time, man. But the Latin Kings were more like the mafia, the mob. You had older guys, deeply devout and religious, conservative. They engaged in organized crime, but it was controlled. There was absolutely violence, but it wasn't that they went around killing innocent people for no reason. And there are gangs that will go around and rob stores and just commit crimes. The Latin Kings, as far as I knew on the South Side, most people were like, nah, don't mess with them. Younger guys might act a fool, but the older guys keep them in line. And so they're very much viewed more like the mafia, like if one of the bosses came in, he's going to treat you with respect. Kind of like that scene from A Bronx Tale, where the mob boss is like, he hears the commotion. I love the scene, by the way. The bikers are, at the bar, and he comes in, what's the commotion? And they're like, look, man, we just want a beer. The bartender says they're not dressed appropriately. The biker's like, just let us buy a beer. We'll be on our way. No problem. And he says, spoken like a gentleman. Give the man his beer. Then the guys shake the beers up, spray the bartender. And the mob boss is like, okay, now you've got to leave. And the biker guy's like, he's like, F you. And so the mob boss walks the door, closes it, locks it, turns on and looks at him and goes, now you can't leave. And I love that scene because they're like, the narrator's like, at that point, they knew they effed up. The back door kicks open and a bunch of the mafia guys come in with crowbars, guns, just beat the crap out of the bikers. It's like, dude, okay, I'm not a big fan of all the violence and stuff, but the point was, this guy was treating you with respect. You weren't dressed right. You were breaking the rules, but he said, you know what? You can have a beer at my establishment because you're a gentleman. Doesn't matter what you're wearing. Anyway, Those are the stories I tend to hear with Latin Kings. They'd be like a 35-year-old guy. He's a dad. He's got kids. Says, I don't want my kids getting hurt. But they're going to sell dope. They're going to sell drugs, things like that. And a lot of these guys were in prison, but they had respect and they wanted order. That's at least what I heard. I can't speak to the other gangs, though. I can tell you some of the other gangs I knew were just kind of dicks. They'd break into your house. They'd steal your stuff. They'd lie, cheat, steal. Ain't none of that. Anyway. They say TDM members flashing gang signs and wearing their uniforms of choice, Chicago Bulls t-shirts and caps, could be seen outside the Standard Club migrant shelter downtown, where 2 local Chicago police officers told the Post they were trying to encroach on a local gang's drug dealing corner near a 7-Eleven store. Standard Club employees told the Post there hadn't been any crime in the shelter and denied the presence of Venezuelan gang members. I'm gonna tell you this right now, dude. You can go to the press. And you can be an institution or a bureaucrat and say, we don't have any crime or Venezuelan gangs. The gangbangers know, they don't care, and they're not going to lie about it. They're on that corner because they know what you're doing. Don't play that game. You're not going to walk up to a gangbanger and be like, you see that thing where Don Lemon tells the guys in Jersey at the Atlantic City? He's like, the guy goes, the economy's bad, so I'm voting for Trump. And Don Lemon goes, actually, the economy's very good. The guy's going to be like, dude, I got to buy groceries, man. Are you nuts? You're not going to go to one of these gangbangers where you're in there, where the Venezuelan gangs are selling drugs in their territory, basically violating the gang accords that they have, the deals they cut. These gangs know what's going on, and they're there because they know what's going on. And if you as a reporter go up to them and say, why are you on the street corner? And they go, listen, man, these Venezuelan gangs are slinging drugs on our territory and we're going to get them out. And then the reporter goes, actually, that's not true. They say there are no Venezuelan gangs here. No one's selling drugs. They're going to just bust out laughing, like, get out of here, dude. We don't care what you think. That's not going to fly with us. I'm going to tell you this. If I see a Chicago gangbanger tell me they're slinging drugs and dope on their turf, I'm going to say, he's telling me the truth. The media, they're full of it. They're liars. They've been lying about everything. Trump comes out and says, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Well, I don't know about no dogs, but there's a video of cats on a grill that, migrants from the Congo reportedly were cooking. They ain't chickens. People try claiming they were chickens. The media's going to lie to you. Gangbangers ain't got no reason to lie. They're going to be like, get off my turf or else. I tell you this, man, one thing you learn when you're in Chicago, you respect these guys. You respect these guys. Doesn't matter if they're mean, doesn't matter if they're rude. Some of them are. But don't be stupid and play stupid games. There are a lot of tough guys who think, I don't care who this guy's. They'll pull a gun on you for no reason. Okay? And a lot of the shootings you see in Chicago are honor-based and respect-based. Someone goes on social media talking smack about another guy. He shows up and he puts a bullet in him. So this is why I always tell my friends, man, I had a friend in Chicago and we're driving and someone cuts us off in an old crappy car. And my friend starts screaming and going out the window and yelling. And I was like, do you want to get shot? We are on the south side of Chicago, dude. You learn to choose your battles. Okay, you want to go to the suburbs and yell at someone, give them the finger, and then you can both growl at each other, fine. But don't come to the south side and start and act a fool. You're good. Someone's going to pull over there and get out with a chain, and they're going to just smash up the car. I'm not kidding. I have seen this. We have been shut up for no reason before. I have seen people pull out guns, fire, and we're like, I have been sleeping in my bed, and you can hear gunshots. There was a hot dog shop a block away from where I grew up as a kid, and the windows were like 3-inch bulletproof glass with bullet holes in them because they randomly just shot at the hot dog stand for no reason. And I just wanted to get a Chicago-style dog with some French fries. That's a bummer, man. I feel bad for the people trying to run their business. They have to deal with this stuff. But don't go to Chicago thinking you can act up. These gangs are in for a surprise, man. You know what I think, too? I don't think these gangs recognize it. I don't think they realize what they're actually dealing with. They think they're going to come to the United States and everything's going to be nice and clean, and it's not going to be. No. You already had one guy say, it's like where you come from. It's like where you come from. No, bro, I think it's worse than where they come from. Venezuela's got problems for sure, but it's poverty and desperation. I don't think Venezuela has the type of honor shootings and honor-based killings where you got a guy in a gang and he says, that guy insulted me. And they drive up to his house and they unload on it, killing everybody. Maybe Venezuela has that. The cartels are a business and people get caught in the crossfire, but they're shooting for business reasons. In Venezuela, you got poverty-based crime and you got gangs. I get all that. I was there before. Chicago, you have territories, you have honor, and you have respect. And that happens in other places too. But these Venezuelan gangs are in for something that they don't quite understand. And so I beg of them and the city, get this under control, man. These Venezuelan migrant gangs are going to show up and knock on a door with a gun, and they're going to be like, hey, we want bang. And the guy who lives there is going to go to the guy's house and look for his family. I'm telling you, man, I'm in Venezuela. Nobody shot at me. There were protesters. There were complaints. There was politics. I'm in Chicago as a wealthy American, as it were. I mean, literally like, lower class growing up. But compared to the rest of the world, they'd see us as wealthy Americans. And some dude just shoots at you for no reason. It happens. And I'm hearing it's only gotten worse. I feel like these Venezuelan gangs are going to try playing this game. They're going to be like, hey, we're going to go sell drugs here. And the guy's going to show up and they got switches. They got extended magazine Glocks that are full auto, and they're just going to run in and start spraying everybody down. You can watch the videos where they catch these people with the extended magazines. I'm telling you, man, I don't know what game they think they're playing. They call Chicago Chirac because there were more gun deaths in Chicago than Iraq over the course of a couple of years or something like that. Ain't no joke. I will say this for all of you. You go visit Chicago, you'll likely see nothing. You stay in the right neighborhoods, you stay in the touristy areas, you'll be fine. The gangs don't like it when people mess with tourists who bring money. Same thing for the cartels. But if you as a tourist ride your bike into certain areas, it ain't going to go well for you. I remember I had a friend, we were riding our bikes to go skateboarding, and we were coming from the north side to downtown, and we're northwest. So he decides to cut west, then north, and I had to yell at him, stop, 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 stop. And he's like, what, dude? He wasn't from here. And I was like, dude, you are 2 blocks away from Four Corner Hustlers. Let's turn around and take the road up north. Why? Because Four Corner Hustlers, I don't know what they do these days, but at least the rumors they spread, and maybe it was on purpose, is that if you live in their territory, you have to join the gang, 13-year-olds, and in order to join the gang, you got to kill somebody. It doesn't matter who. And so you as a white dude going into this neighborhood, they might just shoot you. I had a friend, a woman, she was white. She crossed into one of these areas, and there was like a 55-year-old black dude who walked up to her right away and said, young lady, you turn around right now. This ain't no place for you. He's like, you're going to get hurt. These gangs ain't. And she was like, what? I have no idea what's going on. I turned around. Old man said, you best get out of here. There's a reality, man, to the racial tensions, to the violence, and how the gangs operate in Chicago. And you got to give them the respect. You got to give them the respect they deserve, because they will. You disrespect them. I always try to be polite and non-confrontational. Someone comes in my face, I'll be like, yo, bro, I'm sorry, man. That's my fault. Let me make it up to you. And they'll say, nah, get out of here, dude. But there's so many people I've seen who think, I'm tough, don't you talk to me. Next thing you know, there's 7 guys surrounding you and they're beating the crap out of you. Don't mess around. These gangs, they do what's called V'ing. In order to join the gang, some of them, you get V'd, you get violated. They just beat the crap out of you. They literally beat the crap out of you. So if that's what they do to initiate some of these gangs, they're not going to have any qualms when these Venezuelan migrants show up thinking they're going to operate their businesses here. These guys are going to be like, cops can't do nothing about it. It's our territory, and you cross the line. I beg of Chicago to get that under control. Seriously, I'm going to wrap it up there. Next segment's coming up at some point today. I don't know. We're having fun here on the Sunday morning. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Check out our song. What do we have here? We have Buy Coming Home, or getcominghome.com. You need iTunes to pre-order it. And really excited for this. It is an honor and a privilege, Phil. I get to produce a song with the great platinum and gold rock star Phil Labonte. He does guest vocals on the song, and we're really, really inspired and happy to have the song coming up. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with all your friends. Follow me on X at Timcast. Thanks for hanging out. We'll have more segments coming up for you today. And for the rest of you filthy animals, we're going to read you super chats. In fact, for those that don't know, the movie in Home Alone where he says, you filthy animal, is not a real movie. Not a real movie. All right. Mala Rin says, I'm deploying tomorrow on a Navy carrier, and I'm very happy to have a weekend show to listen after a long day. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it, man. I mean, I don't know. Most people who watch the show don't watch every single episode. I think on average we do like 3.5 to 4 episodes of IRL per person per month. We got 5 episodes per week. So you can always, this is the challenge with the podcast as we do it relative to the thing about Joe Rogan. is that his podcast longevity is about 3 months. Most podcast longevity is 3 months, or 90 days, they say. And so when they're tracking ad sales, they track against 90 days. My shows are all new shows, except for the Culture War. But the Culture War has a smaller shelf life. If I do a show, I'm like, today, Donald Trump said, he's going to eat ice cream. That doesn't matter at all tomorrow. And so there's no real reason to watch repeats, which means for a job like this, you know what I do envy about musicians and rock stars? They write one song, they hit it and go platinum, and they make $10 million off of it. And then they're just like, there we go. I wrote a song. That song's going to play for 40 years and make money for the rest of my life. If you hit it, right? That's the dream, I suppose. Not everybody, most musicians don't. My point is, you make a big movie, you make a song, and it's a one-time project that can generate all this money for you. Man, my industry, I have to grind my fingers to the bone doing 2 shows a day, adding shows on weekends, and make sure we are up to date on all the news, fact-checking with no days off to try and compete in the same space. That being said, I take a look at your average band, and I suppose I'd put it this way. There should be a ranking. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we can figure it out. Timcast, IRL, is a multi-platinum podcast. The Tim Pool Daily Show is also multi-platinum. I think, let me see if I can pull this up. They don't actually rate it this way, right? I'm just saying, like, in terms of our total viewership, 1.2 billion views on Timcast IRL, 1.275 billion with lots of subscribers. Oh boy. We're getting really close to hitting 2 million. We might hit 2 million by the next month. Really excited to make that milestone. And then let me look up just regular old Timcast. Timcast is also multi-platinum with 500 million views. And Timcast News, so equivalent, right? Timcast News, this channel, 1.4 billion views. Dang, I didn't realize I had 3 billion views combined. Yow, that's crazy. 3 billion. Man, that's really crazy. I wonder what the equivalent would be. Man, that's really crazy because platinum is 1 million. Damn. That's really crazy. But there are a lot of musicians who have songs that one song gets 2.3 billion views. Gangnam Style is a really good song, by the way. But it's not the most viewed song in the world at the time. It's got 5.3 billion views 12 years ago. Isn't that crazy, man? I wish I could make one song and then just get 1 billion views. Instead, I have to work for 7 years every day with no days off, and I get to 3 billion. I'll take it. What can I say? 3 billion. I wonder what I'm missing. It also doesn't include other platforms, Rumble, X, etc. But, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. What's up next on the old roster? I think we're going to have to jump to Marvel's new queer series, Agatha All Along. Get that cultural work in, my friends. Let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, from the post-millennial, Disney has decided they're going to double down. They haven't learned that get woke, go broke. They haven't learned from their billion-dollar failures. The Post-Millennial reports Marvel's new queer series, Agatha All Along, to be gay explosion. Just shut up. I don't care. First of all, Marvel has been on a downward spiral. The Marvels bombed miserably. They basically tried to just get rid of it. It's so cringe, it doesn't work. We got this from Bounding into Comics. Agatha All Along star Joe Locke says his character being gay is significant in that it's a part of him, but it's not a huge element of the plot. That I'm fine with. But dude, for the love of all that is holy. You want to know something funny? So there's they don't learn. They don't learn at all. You don't need to go out and do these interviews where you explain how gay you are. You can just live. You know what I mean? Like, you can just have opinions and be a person, and that's fine. And ain't nobody care. Vivek Ramaswamy was recently talking at this event with Charlie Kirk, and he said, we agree that if you're 18 and older, you can live your life how you want to live and do whatever you want, but you can't do it to kids, right? We agree on that. So what Disney needs to recognize is that, look, conservatives ain't going to like it, and conservatives ain't going to want to watch it, and you don't have to. Fine. But moderates plainly don't care so long as you don't jam it down our throats. So I had the unfortunate privilege of watching Agatha all along. And, after hearing there was going to be a gay explosion, I decided to watch it. And of course, they are definitely catering to the woke without trying to go too over the top. This show is for the woke left, very obviously. You know what they're probably thinking? Conservative white dudes ain't going to want to watch a show about witches. They would be wrong. They're just marketing it poorly and presenting it poorly. This is a Marvel show about people with superpowers. You can market this properly. Here's what we don't need. First, there should be no circumstance in which this dude says anything about, oh, really? Are they saying outright it is Billy Kaplan? They're saying it is? There's no reason to have the character be gay. He could just be nothing. And people can make inferences. But Disney's not learned their lesson. So they give these interviews where they do this kind of garbage. Here we go. The gayest Marvel project ever done. Well, you're going to lose money. People are going to be upset about it. This goes along similarly to what we saw with Paramore saying basically Donald Trump, Project 2025, and lying about it. There are people like, look, conservatives buy shoes too. Why intentionally antagonize your market share? You can have the characters be presumably gay or whatever, but you don't need to tell everyone how gay of explosion it is. Actress Aubrey Plaza, the most famous for her role, said Monday that Agatha will be a gay explosion by the end of it. Ugh. Why would I want to watch it then? Have you not learned from your stupid Acolyte show where they had lesbian space witches create babies with the Force and it got canceled right away for being garbage? Hey, look, Sajir Zamata, who plays Jennifer Kale and came out as queer in an interview, said, witches are queer inherently. Just because we are outcasts and set aside for many reasons, this show shows a really good representation of different types of people and that we can all use the power we have within to go forward and be great. I've always looked up to Wanda Sykes as another black queer woman in comedy living her truth is really inspiring and awesome. I feel proud to be amongst a lot of great people who do that openly. Actor Joe Locke says it's really nice just to have these positive queer characters. The series, he explained, has many layers and gay is one of them. That's one of the great things about the show. Teen is a queer guy on the show. Who? But it's not the driving force, which I think is really great. Teen. Well, so I will say this. So in this image where you can see Joe Locke's character, his mouth has an M over it. When he tries to say his name or explain where he came from, he can't. His mouth either goes blah, 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 or it gets sealed shut. And so you don't really know who he is, I guess, unless they did reveal it. I don't know. I'm not really paying attention that much to the show or whatever. So I guess saying Billy Kaplan, Joe Locke, and Senor Scratchy are startled by the appearance of a coven of witches or whatever. Sure, I guess. Disney's not going to learn their lessons. They're never going to learn their lessons. They're going to lose money over and over again. They're going to burn subscribers, but I digress. Agatha all along, fine, make your shows. I don't care. People who want to watch it can watch it. It's a subscription-based network. They've got a bunch of other Marvel offerings you may like. There's more movies coming out. You don't have to hate Disney because they make one show and they play this route. That's fine, and I get it. It is. I just won't watch it. I say this quite a bit. I've been saying this since the Gamergate stuff. If you want to make a video game or a movie that's overtly woke and just bad, my response is, hey, good for you. Congratulations. I'm not going to pay for it. Go make your money somewhere else. And then maybe Disney might finally learn their lesson. I really doubt it. They probably won't. They're going to keep doing this stuff, and then they're going to say, why won't people watch our movies? Like with Star Wars, they said, white men, this is not for you. And then canceled. Why won't white men watch my show? Because they're racist. No, because you insult them. And they're a huge market of the superhero show genre. Dude, the wildest thing. White people make up the majority ethnic background in this country. White men are the largest consumers of action and superhero and politics stuff. So why would you intentionally make content to disparage the largest share of your market? That I just don't quite understand. I think it's because the cult has taken over the institutions. They are anti-meritocratic and they don't understand. This is communism. What ends up happening, my friends, is that you'll eventually end up with people in government who think this should be subsidized. They're going to say, these kinds of shows are good and people won't pay for them. I think we should all have to pay for it. And then they'll make it a cultural requirement. They'll say the government should fund this. What really means they'll take money from you to fund garbage programs that you don't like. And then you won't want to watch. And then eventually end up with Big Brother, where it's the only thing on TV. Okay. I will give it some praise, though. I like the idea that if you're going to have gay characters in your show, it's not a point of the plot. So far, I haven't seen anything where this kid has done anything gay. Like, he's not like walk up to a dude and give him a kiss or anything. But they've done these things where it's like, look, there are a lot of movies with romance. There are a lot of action movies with love interests. WandaVision, of course, it was Wanda and Vision. And that whole thing turned out to be fake, and it was a weird show, whatever. In Doctor Strange, he has Christine, his love interest that he lost. And so you're going to do love interest stuff. But it's just forced. When you introduce a gay character and then create a gay plot line with gay sex and all of this stuff, that people, a very tiny portion of people want to watch. I'll just lay it out for you, Disney. When you make a movie and there is a dude and there is a lady and they are love interests, and then you do the scene on HBO or Cinemax or whatever where they enjoy each other's company quite a bit too much to the point where they end up having a kid. You get my point? Women and men, 99%, relate to and understand the experience. So there was that movie called, what was it called, Bros or whatever, where you had, it was a gay rom-com, and the whole thing was just weird gay sex references. Okay, I got to tell you, that's like less than 1% of the population. They're overemphasized in media to an extreme degree. And then that guy, Billy Eichner, I think it was, made that movie, and he's like, please, everyone, go see our movie. It's like a gay rom-com, and we need your support. And nobody went to see it. It flopped. I'll tell you why nobody went to see it. Women don't care about two dudes doing dude stuff and banging. And most guys, 99%, don't want to watch guys banging or hear jokes about it. Not because they're homophobes. Some are. Like, I mean, in a literal sense, like they literally are like freaked out by it. Some just plain don't like it. But most just don't care. Let me offer this up to you. Imagine if I made a movie about, how about this? People who play Magic the Gathering, Commander specifically, and it's a comedy where we're talking about John only ever plays Demir, and he's always just doing Thassa's consultation, and it's cringe because he wins in like turn 2. You'd be like, I have no idea what you just said. Not interested in watching that film because the commercial means nothing to me. Right. I'm not stupid. I understand that if I make a show where like, hey guys, today on skateboard, imagine there's I made a skateboarding movie and it was called Nollie Heel Flip 5-0. And in it, the challenge of the film is that Johnny is dealing with his friends who he can't beat in a game of skate because Rick is just super good at nollie big inward heel flips and he just can't figure it out. And that's a challenge he has to overcome. You know, you'd be like, Tim, I have no idea what you're talking about. None of that is gross. None of that is gay or whatever, but I still would not sell tickets to a movie that was that overtly esoteric. So to Disney and to all the people making movies, just like, I don't understand why you think people who aren't interested in these things want to buy it. You're not going to sell your asparagus flavored ice cream to anybody. Could you imagine going to an ice cream shop and they're like, we got asparagus and broccoli flavor. You're going to be like, well, you know, maybe 1 in 1,000 people might be interested in buying that. Legit, there was a company that made mustard flavored ice cream. I think they still might. There's mustard, jalapeno, and ketchup. And I'm like, I will never buy those flavors. That's disgusting. However, someone did bring a mustard ice cream here once. They're like, you got to try it. It's mustard flavor. I'm like, I will not. I literally will not try mustard ice cream. I just throw it in the garbage. In fact, we've got those Numa drinks that are really good coconut-based sports drinks. And it's like mango and lemonade. And we have chocolate mint. I have never once tasted chocolate mint, and I never will. And that's what you are offering, my friends. That's what these shows are. And that's why they flop and you lose money. But, you know what, by all means, make it. I just ain't going to buy it. All right, my friends. We'll wrap it up there. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Thank you all so much for hanging out. It's been a blast. You can follow me on X at Timcast. We'll stay live for a little bit for Super Chats, and we'll hang out for a little bit on this beautiful Sunday morning, now almost afternoon as noon approaches. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all tomorrow, once again, 10 a.m. on this channel. Share the show with your friends. Let's, I don't know. I got 3 billion views. That's kind of crazy. Let's make it 6. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all next time. And for everybody else, we're gonna read your Super Chats, and then maybe I'll play a song or something, huh? Kyle Pickett says, Tim, you and Phil should do a remake of Guns N' Roses Civil War, but with a modern twist. Perhaps. Waffle Sense, it says, Disney is making a very strong case that they do not intend to make money. They are just trying to destroy what we love and destroy our culture. Indeed. Indeed. What else we got? Crest Fresh says, thanks for all you do. I've been turning family and friends onto your evening show. Shameless plug for my dad's band, Tommy Green, Jim Moffitt, One More Shot Band. Classic country-esque video on YouTube. Very cool, very cool. All right. Brett Brink says, I hope you're serious about doing a show in Morgantown, West Virginia, like Charlie Kirk. I live in Uniontown, PA, about 20 minutes north of Morgantown. I'd go. Yeah, Morgantown is a couple hours from us. And I think it'll be cool to do Shepherdstown? Which one is it? I never go there. It's super woke. Let's see. Let's look at how far away Morgantown is from us. I've been to Morgantown before. We've got Shepherdstown, there's a university up there. Which university is up in Shepherdstown? Shepherd University. Big college town, very woke. And that could be cool. And then we got WVU in Morgantown, which is, Morgantown is, let me do the math real quick. Directions and from your location. And let's see. Okay, there we go. 2.5 hours, no big deal. We could do that in a day easily. And so it's, I think this is what I want to do with the Culture War. It would be really, really fun to come down. We have a lot of fans in Morgantown. We went down there. Everybody's really excited to see us, but it's also relatively woke and college-y. But it could be cool. Morgantown's great. Very, very beautiful. Cooper's Rock is very beautiful. We went through there on the way over. It's a straight shot down 68, basically. Is that what it is? Yeah, a couple hours drive for us. That would be a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. All right. Nikki Ehrlich says, hey, Tim, I planned the homecoming and funeral of one of the 13 from Abbey Gate. I am writing the story and would love to turn it into a movie. Help. Well, I appreciate it. I have no means to do such a thing. We do not make movies. I wish we did. We have the wherewithal for writing songs and making music videos, but that's ridiculously easy relative to making a movie. I wouldn't know where to begin, so, sorry about that. All right. Sunday, here we go. Mitchell Campbell says, joined late, then play at 1.25 speed. Song was hilarious that way. Good to hear you every day. I follow and watch all the channels, and I am a member. Appreciate it, my friends. Take a look at this. We can switch to the wide shot now. Look at that. Hey, look at these. You guys see these? Somebody was asking me about my dual land collection for all those that are fans of Magic the Gathering. We also got an alpha lightning bolt. Very esoteric, but for those of you that know what it is, you're probably going based. Not to mention that bad boy right there. I have but one of 9. It's called the Power 9. When Magic the Gathering was first made, they had no idea what they were doing, and they made ridiculous cards that are ridiculously powerful that you can't play with anymore for the most part. Only in certain restricted formats. So, I think we'll wrap it up there. I'm thinking, I don't know. I could play music, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe I just won't. Doesn't really feel right, I guess. I'm 50-50 on it. Maybe we'll just grab a super chat and then we'll jump out of here. K-Sum says, an assault weapon ban paired with universal background checks is taking away your guns. When you pass away to transfer your guns to your kids, to your kids, they'd have to go through an FFL if your guns fall in the category of assault weapons. And assault weapons is a nonsense term. That is indeed an ancestral recall. It's legit. A legit ancestral recall. I don't know what the next... I have Bazaar of Baghdad, which is a very, very expensive Magic the Gathering card, which is functional in one of my decks. It is an Oscar Commander Demir deck, for those that know what that means. I could play a song, I guess. I could play one. It's Sunday. The other day, I So one of the reasons I'm doing the morning shows too is just like, if I were to, like, I wake up on the weekends, I just basically go get breakfast and sit around, relax. Then I have to do errands. I have to there's a lot of paperwork, too much paperwork, and traveling to other properties, checking in on other things. And that takes a little bit. So I'm driving around and I can't do stuff. But in the mornings, I was like, I'll just do the show, whatever. Yeah. You know what we'll do? We'll just make this, Fox Tashikata says, if you have a beta lightning bolt that's expensive, it's an alpha lightning bolt, good sir. Alpha. 8.5 grade. Let me see what that goes for. 8.5 alpha lightning bolt. It's a classic card, not the most valuable. Alpha lightning bolt 8.5, about $1,000. $1,000. That's crazy, right? The reason I have the alpha lightning bolt, interesting. Yeah, some list it as 1,200. Wow, indeed. Whoa, upwards of 16. Let's see, an alpha grade 9 Black Lotus card, $160,000. When I first started playing Magic, the Black Lotus was $300 when I first started playing. And we were just like, that's crazy. I also had a time vault, which I lost on a train. But it's funny because imagine buying a card for $300 back then and just having it in your closet. And then you come out and you're like, it's worth $160,000. I think a grade 10 could be worth millions of dollars. One Button Dash says the Penguin on HBO is actually great. Zero Wokeness, just a great new mob show. I've heard that. Let's see. Your fist is an assault weapon. Ha ha ha. The device says if I had $1,000, I'd be rich. Buy a lightning bolt 30 years ago, and one day it'll be worth $1,000. Yo, that thing was worth 10 cents. It's crazy. It's a common card. It was very common. And I had a bunch of them. That's the crazy thing. When I first started playing, these things were everywhere. My friends had like 5 or 6 of them, and they were in decks. And then what happens is they go in your garage, you forget about them, they get transferred, sold, they become harder and harder to find. I'm telling you right now, there is a garage of some grandmother whose son had Magic the Gathering cards 30 years ago. He's never touched and he completely forgot about. And they're just sitting there, and it's probably $1 million worth of cards. I am not kidding. I am not exaggerating. And they're just like, oh, I don't know. Johnny had Magic the Gathering cards. We bought them when they first came out. They were at the pharmacy. We grabbed a couple packs. And they're just sitting in a box. And it's probably millions of dollars, dude. So let me explain to you. So right there, what I'm pointing at is these are dual lands. Dual lands means they're single land cards that can produce two different resource colors. There are 5 resource colors in the game. There are basic land cards. Each generates 1 of 5 resources. And then there are dual lands. The originals are worth between like $400 and $1,000 because they're staples and they don't make them anymore. If you want them in your deck, you've got to find a collector, as it's called the secondary market. All right. We'll hang out for another second. Man, YouTube keeps crashing on me. It just crashed on me again. What do we got? People like the song. I'll play the full preview for you right now, actually, because I ain't doing nothing else, right? I'm just hanging out on something.
On a quiet, faded pavement, I drove myself to find the place.
We were hoping that string section was going to be Ben Shapiro. And they were super into it. They were like, yeah. But then with our time frame and everything, they're like, we don't think we're going to be able to get it done. Like, Ben's just too busy to go into a studio and lay down some violin. And it's like, all right, whatever. Because we'd have to send him the song. He'd have to listen to it, learn it, figure out the strings. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's also not his priority. And I understand that. But how cool would it have been to be like featuring Phil Labonte and Ben Shapiro? But the other thing too is we wanted Ben in a green screen so that we could put him in the video too. The video is basically a guy coming home and walking through his town and seeing what it's become. You can see this right in the beginning. and just the destruction that, I mean, it's kind of brutal, and I feel kind of bad because I feel like it might be offensive to a lot of people. You know, just like, because this is an actual city we're filming. So as much as the music video represents the idea, it's literally a place that people live. And they're going to be like, that's my city, and it's not very good. But we're trying. We're trying. All right, my friends, what do we got here? Should Ben S says, laid down violin. Yeah, Ben Shapiro is a great violin player. He's actually really great. He's really, really great. So you know what we'll do? I'm gonna give you guys a song. We'll play a song, and I'll play the song for one reason, to promote this upcoming new single. I'll play a different song that I've never released. I don't know if we will release. I don't know if it can be released. I don't know if it's good enough. And I don't even know if it'll sound good on the stream, and then we'll wrap it up. But buy the new single, Coming Home, at getcominghome.com. It's a pre-order right now on iTunes. In order to have it to get it, you need the iTunes player, and then you got to go to getcominghome.com. And it may or may not be working. I don't know. Funk Master General says, I gave 2 boxes of original Magic cards some dude in 99. Curse my generosity. I don't know about that, dude. I'm sorry. I don't believe you. Original Magic cards, if you're saying you had alpha Magic the Gathering cards in 1999, you were still giving away like $3,000 or $4,000. In 1999, the Black Lotus was $300. And if you had 2 boxes with one, like, but maybe you did. Let's see if this, I don't know if this will sound good. You're going to have to just deal with it, I guess. And so let me get set up. We actually have a music set up here. I don't even have the actual guitar I need to I got a good guitar over there. I'm not going to get it. I am going to absolutely half-ass this performance for all of you guys. And so you will get what you get. I haven't played the song in a long time either. So let's see if I can actually play it anyway. Let's do a little warm-up. How about some Men at Work? I won't play the full song, they'll copyright me. I can't get to sleep. I think about the implications of diving in too deep, or possibly the complications. All right, I'm not going to play it. I love that song, by the way. But day after day, it reappears. Overkill is such a classic song. I'll try and play this one for you. If it's bad, that's your fault, not my fault. Because I'm not in the proper mode for playing music, nor have I practiced, but we'll play this. We'll try and play a song for you. Welcome to Sunday Hangouts. Here we go. One last word, no regrets. You're caught in the battleground. You're standing tall through their threats, but you've heard it all before. Tell me when you found out. Wait, I screwed it up. Tell me how you found out. We're gonna start over. One last word, no regrets. You're caught in the battleground. You're standing tall through their threats, but you've heard it all before. Tell me how you found out about all the lies they claim. Tell me if it's worth it now. Tell me, won't you save me, break me out? I'm standing on the only road that I found. I see it in the way you promise out, but now you're running away. Chance to make it out again, unless you really don't want to save yourself from them, unless you really don't care. No more words can clear your debt, so you'll flee from the battleground. You're standing tall as walls crumbling, and the bricks crashing down. Tell me when you decided to strike, and like a storm crashing down. Tell me if you think you'll survive. Tell me, won't you save me, break me out? I'm standing on the only road that I found. I see it in the way you promised out, but now you're running away. One last chance to make it out again, unless you really don't want to save yourself from them, unless you really don't care. One last chance to be the one you always thought you were. Tell me, won't you save me, break me out? But now you're running away. One last chance to make it out again, unless you really don't want to save yourself from them, unless you really don't care. There's one last chance to be the one you always thought you were. Tell me, won't you save me, break me out? But now you're running away. One last chance to make it out okay. There you go. I can maybe play one more. I'm only playing these songs because I don't know that that song's good enough to do anything with. I don't know if I care to record it or publish it. Now it exists. Now it exists. Remember when we used to fight for peace, but heroes were only on TV screens. My heart is made up in hopes and dreams that take me back into mediocrity. Taking more, take in spite of this, and focus on the ways. I guess you never changed that day. It's hard to believe that you mean nothing to me, 'cause you used to be everything. Remember when we used to hope for peace, but villains weren't only on TV screens. The market's made up of broken hopes and dreams. It takes you back into history. Taking more, take in spite of this, focus on the ways I really wish you'd change someday. It's hard to believe that you mean nothing to me, 'cause you used to be everything. There were words in a book about what we've been through. There are lines in a script written for me and you. So take it all inside and pray it works. Another aching in your heart starts to burn. more, take in spite of this, and focus on the ways I really hope you'll change someday. It's hard to believe, but I'm moving on with my dreams, 'cause you were never there for me. There are words in a book about what we've been through, and there are lines in a script written for me and you. So take it all in stride and pray it works. Another aching in your heart starts to burn. That song's called Words in a Book. And we were trying to figure out how to record it. I don't think it can be recorded. I think that's it. And the other song, too. I don't think there's anything else. We did general production stuff on it. And then ultimately, I was just like, it doesn't work. It's I don't know, the time signature is garbage. I do these weird pauses and just kind of play it folky style. And when you try putting in drums and keys and other stuff, it just doesn't really translate. Does not. I don't know if there's anything else I have to play, to be honest. You know. I could probably play that. I could try. I don't know if I remember the words. No, maybe not. Will of the People, indeed. I think that's probably it. I don't know what else I could play. I could play Overkill. I love Men at Work. I can't get to sleep. I think about the implications of diving in too deep, or possibly the complications. Especially at night, I worry over situations I know we'll be alright. Perhaps it's just imagination, but day after day it reappears. And night after night, my heartbeat shows the fear. Goes to peer and fade away. Alone between the sheets only brings exasperation. It's time to walk the streets. Smell the desperation. Well, at least there's pretty lights, though there's little variation. It nullifies the night from overkill. But day after day it reappears. Night after night, my heartbeat shows the fear. Goes to peer and fade away. Come back another day. I can't actually play the solo. I don't know how to play it. There you go. You got half the song. That's about it. I'm going to wrap things up. You know what we do need to do, and we probably will do, is a live show or something. I can try and play Will of the People, but I don't know if I haven't played that in a long time. I haven't played Will of the People. The first song would make a great Trump-themed vid. Well, the first song is it's fairly obvious in what it's about. Are you going to stand up for yourself, or are you going to just give up, basically, right? I don't know that I actually remember how to play Will of the People, though. Mike says, Tim, I like these songs better than the new one. Well, that was Men at Work. That was a cover of like one of the best songs ever. And I could finish out the song, but I decided not to. Because you get to the solo, and with the acoustic, I could just, fake it and skip over the solo and then go back to the I can't get to sleep and just go high or whatever. Play Incubus Drive. I used to know how to play that. I don't know how to play it, though. What else do I know how to play? Covers are fun. On the march in the morning, he called his soldiers down to take aim at the traitors, to gun those rebels down. Now they'll face the consequences. They held themselves above. This is the will of the people, he said. I wish I could spare them, make them see the path. Tempting as that sounds, I'll have to pass. I know what's needed for the good of my people, to save them. Out in the dark, without warning, he raised his fist above, let it cry to his people, to tear those statues down. Now they'll face the consequences. They held themselves above. This is the will of the people, he said. I wish I could spare them, make them see the path. Tempting as that sounds, I'll have to pass. I know what's needed for the good of my people, to save them. Drop your arms and march for them. Turn against the wall and bow your head. If you have any last words, let them be said. On the march in the morning, he called his comrades down to take aim at the traitors, to gun those fascists down. Now they'll face the consequences. They held themselves above. This is the will of the people, he said. I could find it, the way to restore peace. Blessed were those days we held in vain. I give it all for a chance at redemption, as the cycle turns again. You've seen it before, now you'll see it begin. You've seen the changes and the blood pooling. If you think it ends here, think again. And that's a wrap. That's a wrap. I haven't played that song in a long time. That was Will of the People. It's available on YouTube and all that good stuff. Thank you all so much for hanging out with the extended extra half an hour live music performance. Head over to getcominghome.com to pre-order the song. We'll probably play some more music next week because the song drops Friday, and that means from Friday morning until Thursday at 11:59, we need to sell as many copies of the song as possible so that we can hit those charts and show that we can do it. Now, I want to tell you something, my friends. When I was talking earlier about Paramore and sales and all that, I need you guys to understand what it means to be a big band and what it means for the success of these bands. Paramore put out an album and only sold 43,000 copies. 43,000. They say, they have this excuse where they go, well, it's all about streams anyway and getting plays on Apple Music and Pandora and Spotify. The DSPs, they call them, digital streaming playlists, are manufactured. Do you get what that means? If you release a song and you chart, that means you were just placed on a digital streaming playlist. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people might be looking for the song, but they're going to put you up based on the fact that you're part of the label. They're going to put you on the playlist. But there's something really obvious to understand. If these celebrities and musicians could command the sales, which is direct cash in their pockets, they would. Absolutely. You want to know what the proof is? Every single industry right now is shifting to subscription models. They want cash up front. I ran this YouTube channel and my other shows only doing programmatic ads. I did some ad reads sometimes, mostly YouTube auto runs ads. And then I went, well, that's dependent upon if people might watch the show or not. Why don't I do memberships instead? Ask the user to pay directly for the product. Works better. The issue is that these musicians can't command sales. They beg their fans, please buy the music, and the fans say, no, I won't. Now that's something. So when people make up this excuse, they're like, oh, well, sales don't even really matter anyway. That doesn't mean anything. So what? Manufactured playlists where you put someone on a list and guarantee the plays does matter? No, I'll tell you what everybody knows matters. Are you influential enough that someone would actually consider giving cash over for a product? Well, the answer is there are many popular, prominent artists who do get this. They put out an album, they get 300 to 500,000 album sales. So when you see these artists and they're like, they sell 10,000, 40,000, and everyone's like, well, it's because they're watching a streaming play. No, it's because nobody wants to buy their stuff. That's the reality. Let's go, baby. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for hanging out. GetComingHome.com. Check out the song. Head over to Timcast Music on YouTube. You can find it here and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for the link there is for the iTunes pre-order. Excuse me. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you all tomorrow.